infrastructure development in Mangilao at the site of the planned Mangilao Medical Campus. Leon Guerrero said if the funds are not expended by the December 31st, 2026 deadline, the funding will be recouped by the federal government. In a letter to Chairman of the Committee on Finance and Government Operations, Senator Chris Duenas, the governor said that under ARPA guidelines, it provides flexibility in the usage of the funding to include the construction of new infrastructure or to be incorporated into certain portions of projects that don't constitute as eligible under the state local fiscal recovery funds. Ultimately, Leon Guerrero stressed that the ARPA funding can no longer be pre-programmed and the Mangilao infrastructure project is the only eligible path forward. In more news, the Guam International Airport Authority announced that it has completed its first phase of terminal flooring renovations roughly 2 years after the flooring was damaged during Typhoon Mawar. GIAA said in a statement that the recent completion of the project adds nearly 17,000 square feet of terrazzo flooring in the Customs and Quarantine Agency baggage claim and border protection immigration areas, which it states gives arriving passengers a more durable and welcoming environment. Lieutenant Governor Josh Honorio got to tour the new flooring project, saying that the project helps airport facilities keep pace with the needs of Guam's residents and visitors. Terrazzo is a more durable flooring material and is commonly used in high-traffic commercial areas like airports. GIAA said that the choice was determined in light of the need for more resilient infrastructure for future natural disasters and was the best alternative, followed by funding and the procurement process of GIAA's contractor, Surface Solutions. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, The Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
At myenergyguam.com, you can track your daily energy use, check your patterns, see when your household uses the most power, and make simple changes that can lower your bill, all from the comfort of home.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Try GPA's free online energy expert tool. In just minutes, you'll get a virtual home energy audit with customized tips to save money on your electricity bill. Visit GuamPowerAuthority.com.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
Have you tried all 19 Subway Series sandwiches? All crafted to crave, from flavorful cheesesteaks and chicken subs, delicious Italianos, mouthwatering clubs, to the high-protein deli heroes. The Subway Series delivers maximum crave factor. Get what you're craving for today. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
It just works. Wave 105 FM.
Welcome to it, another Brightside here on Wave 105. Got a whole vibe in here because we're rolling with dice.
Woo-hoo! Good afternoon,
yeah,
Pauly.
and it's
guys.
not even the morning. Everybody's probably listening and be like, "What time is this? Did we log into the wrong YouTube?
Oh man, guys,
What's going on here?"
I hope you guys.
So it is the Brightside, 2:10 in the afternoon. Biba Webis. It's Thursday, September 25th. We're online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. I encourage you to start tuning in to our YouTube right now because we do have a guest in studio. And we're so happy that she is back on island, and it is the founder of Be Heartfelt. Thank you so much, Lori, for coming back in the studio and doing so much great work, not just here in the island, but in Kansas City, and then in Peru, and in the surrounding neighboring islands as well. There's a lot of great work that you're doing with so many community partners, and so always happy to have you back in studio.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Wow, how do you come back from such a nice opening like that?
Well, you're a recurring guest, and so and so we always appreciate when you have the opportunity, and thank you as well for always thinking of us too. I mean, when you do the work that you do, we are actually pretty honored to be partnering with 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 an organization like Be Heartfelt, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's really to me about partnership. We're walking this out together. And I couldn't do the work I do without a lot of heroes behind the scenes and behind the microphones, building logs when they're not on the Weather Channel. But I mean, really, it takes a community of people who are like-minded,
Sure, yeah.
that are willing to do the different parts of it. So I appreciate all of you here because you allow me to reach more people and to grow something that I see as very valuable and very important.
I love that it's a perfect match, the Islet Brothers and Be Heartfelt, Tower for Humanity. I mean, this is what it is really all about, right? It is about humanity. It is about looking inward and taking what you understand, what your core values are, and then looking outward and saying, how can I also help my neighbor? How can I help my fellow colleague and maybe their family? And so what are some of the issues that my community is facing? And so with Be Heartfelt, you are addressing children's needs and seeing that they sometimes have nothing to eat, and they will go days without proper nutrition.
They will go days without food.
Yeah.
That is something that I honestly don't completely comprehend. But when I hear the stories, I am passionate about it. You know, as we even talked before, I experienced homelessness, but I was fortunate enough to always have a source of food. Yes, it was cooked over an open fire, but we did have it. And I try to limit how much I talk about some of the other people in my life. My husband's a very private person, and it's funny how you end up in a place in life, but when one of the social workers asked me about this program, I said, yeah, sure, of course I'll do it. But what I wasn't thinking about, and he had his birthday yesterday, and like I said, he's very private, but my husband...
Happy belated birthday, Mr. Marble.
Yes, but he was that child. And he doesn't share it very often. The few times he has in the 35 years of marriage, it was very hard to receive. My children, they don't even want to hear those stories because they understand it. They just, on a certain level, don't understand it, right? Unless you've experienced it. And so I always try and say that because I've missed a meal or two. I know once in a while you do. You just, especially when I'm working with the Atlet Brothers, because they're like the Energizer bunnies. And we're busy doing good work. I might skip a meal, but I don't feel good. And I haven't skipped multiple meals. And, you know, we say more than 48 hours. I think the statistic is 52 to 56 hours because you think of that child gets lunch, right? On Friday at school. So they're getting their free breakfast and lunch.
Right.
Then on Friday, they would go from Friday lunch.
If they even go to school on that day, right?
Well, but they're most likely going to go to school because this is their food source.
Okay.
So they're going to go to school for their food source, and Friday ends. They're going home. There's no food there.
Right.
They're doing their Friday night, their Saturday, and their Sunday. And then they're coming back to school on Monday morning for the breakfast.
Right.
And so that's where we try to target any time a child is out of school, holidays, and their weekends, where they may not have any type of source of food to meet that need, so that they don't have to go that whole weekend and then be expected to perform on Monday
Right.
Because I was even thinking about that earlier today, and we talk about literacy here and the importance of it, and I want that too for all the students. But I was thinking, yes, we need to improve those things, but if we don't recognize that that kid may not be eating, then they come to school, they're not mentally in a frame of mind.
Sure.
To receive that education that they need. And so that's my heart, is that children stay in school, that they can thrive in school, they can flourish, because we were all created to be anything and everything we want to be. And we need school for that. Even if it's just a high school diploma or a GED, we need that to be able to be members of our society. And so getting that education is a valuable piece. And then I even have a daughter of mine. She's a first grade teacher. Last year she was a kindergarten teacher, and she married a fifth grade teacher.
Okay.
And I try and remind her on a hard day, for some children, this is your safe space. Like this, for some children, there may be things that are going on in the home, and you see that child for the rest of that time. Like, remember, there's a lot of value as a teacher. There's a lot of value as the other adult in their life.
Yeah. I think also what somebody has said is like you're like another parent.
Yes.
Yeah.
In some situations, you may be teaching that child about healthy boundaries,
Right.
healthy lifestyle, healthy choices. I mean, as I was saying to you about my husband grew up on the streets of San Francisco, and he got great grades in school. That was his safety. That was his safety place. He went on to high school and then went on to college and paid his own way. Actually, the first years of our marriage, we paid off that loan. But that's what I'm talking about. I had someone, say like, oh, the parents need to, it was an educator, and they said like, oh, the parents, they need to show up, and there was a question about the meal pack program being in their school, and I said, hold up. Like, it just rubbed that personal side of my heart because it's my husband, and I said, no, we're not talking about the parent right now. We're talking about the child, and they can go on. I said, look at my husband. He's a product of it. And my husband, not only we've been married 35 years, we have 4 grown children, 4 granddaughters, but we have a good life. And I'm not talking about big house, big things. I'm talking about a productive life, a purposeful life, a life that has meaning. So, we can come back from anything. It's simply a circumstance that we're having to face. And these children are facing circumstances that are actually out of their control. So that's why that's important.
Yeah.
And that's why I pushed back, because she touched that like wife mama bear in me, and I was like, well, wait a minute.
Sure.
I'm not talking about the parents. That's not my job. That's not my place. And there's a lot of different variables. We should not be putting people in a box and saying, if their kid is hungry, they're at fault. We need to look beyond that and say, what is going on, and how can we support, and how can we help? As I was talking to one of the social workers, and she's telling me of 2 cases of a parent is disabled and severely disabled, right? So if my husband was severely disabled, and now I'm caring for him. And maybe he was the breadwinner. And I'm trying to meet his needs, meet my children's needs. And maybe this is an accident, or this is something that has come on suddenly. And this is actually 2 cases where we are feeding the children because they just can't make ends meet. I'm not about judging their situation. I can't imagine having, if my husband all of a sudden became disabled, yeah, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work and a lot of trauma and changes. And you know, it doesn't mean it's permanent either. And I think that that's really important for people to know is, right, at the end of the day, we're here today talking about canned food and wanting to get food in these kids. But I have to say, the teams that I work with, the school social workers and their outreach, they are so honoring of, if they have an emergency, they'll say, we have a homeless family, can we add them in? I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, you know, we talk about the situation, and then they'll come back a month later and they'll go, okay, Lori, they don't need the meal packs anymore. And now they're in an apartment, they have a food source. So they're not just giving out the food and just being like, oh, no big deal. They're realizing this is something that has been donated by someone. We want to honor it. We want to help that family when they're in that crisis. And some will stay in that crisis longer, but they're always making sure that it's not wasted, and it's a need. It is not an extra.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think what also seeing how this program is starting to even evolve into so many things, or seeing so many organizations like the Mayor's Council of Guam that is partnering with you. The Marine Corps Base Camp Laws is partnering and getting cans and all of that. I mean, we have a box downstairs as well, and so you have a number of businesses that have these so many drop-off locations, right? And so we want to continue to get the word out. So what kinds of items are we looking for? I listened to the president of the Mayor's Council of Guam. They want to make it easily accessible, right? Like pop tops and whatnot, right?
That is preferred.
Yeah.
We have talked about that. In a perfect world, I would have a can opener for every kid, because some food items just don't come that way. But what we're saying is not not spaghetti that you have to cook the noodles, take the sauce and cook. We're looking for instant. They could open the canned spaghetti, like SpaghettiOs, which I used to be a staple of mine when I was a kid, and eat it right from the can.
Right.
Now, if they can warm it, sure, but not every child's going to be in that situation, nor do we expect that. So we're looking for foods like fruit snacks. For Cans for Humanity, we're looking for canned food. So I'll back that up. But yes, we're looking for those easy, accessible, that a child can eat, open, have something right there. That's exactly. And something that a kid would eat. Right? Because there are a few things like, yes, we do want vegetables. People think sometimes we don't. We do want vegetables for that child.
I like artichokes, but I'm not going to assume all the kids like eating artichokes.
I was going to say, but there's certain vegetables that may be a little bit more specific to what kids like. Yeah. Like, I've come to love artichokes, but only as an adult.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just,
kidney
that's a
beans
good point.
Is another one. I don't know about kidney beans.
Right. But chili.
There you go.
Chili, right? Because that's a complete meal.
Yeah.
Just open up the can and eat it. Right. And that's what we're looking for. Those types of things. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think. It's pretty simple. It's just, I think it's not that it's a tough look at, what kind of canned food, but it's quantity.
Sure.
That's where we really struggle, because now we're at 350 plus children weekly. And so it's keeping that quantity up. I definitely have a faith, and God has not had 1 week where we didn't have food for a child. That is all Him, because I'm just saying, as it grows, it's not a perfect pantry situation, but He has met the need every single step of the way, and I can't take ownership of that because that's just too perfect.
So when you say that number and you're saying it a week, it's pretty overwhelming. However, when you break it down and you say that these are children in our community, or even in the CNMI, or in Palau, or in the Philippines, or in Kansas, or in Peru, anywhere in the world, it's something where that's why I get it, where the Mayor's Council of Guam, where Marine Corps Base Camp Laws, where businesses, where the entire community gets it and can wrap their arms around an organization like Be Heartfelt and say, you know what, we absolutely want to support.
Yes, I think that's an important piece of it. Is what I try and show people is, yes, there's going to be a demographic in a community that need these resources. Then there's going to be another demographic that they only have enough money to provide for their own family. I understand that. And that's the people who I say, volunteer, use your resources, volunteer, pack the bags, because it's not just about the financial. But then there's another part of the community where if we can afford to go out and eat a meal that's, I had lunch at Mosa's today. If I can afford to buy a salad for myself at Mosa, then I can afford to put a couple of cans in my grocery cart for a child that is in that situation.
Right.
And that's the humanity part you're talking about, right?
Right.
I don't need to live with more if I'm not bringing up that next generation. Like, what is my purpose? My purpose is to live a full life, which also means pulling up those that are in need, because at a time I needed that. At a time my husband needed that. And there's so many more that I hear of that needed that. And they don't always voice, right? My husband would rather people not know. But I have found that as I healed, it became something that I was going to share, because it is something that a child is not going to express. They're not going to talk about, and they need advocates.
I think that's the dignified part of it all, right? Is understanding that you're an organization that is asking the community to donate cans and backpacks too, right? Because we want to put it in backpacks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and
Yes.
we do get those.
And that's to me, that's the dignified part, because it no longer looks like here, poor children, here's, charity.
Very people know.
It's not, it's not even presented that way.
Right. No, exactly. And that's a big part of this program, I think, being successful. As even earlier today, one of the social workers, his story that he gave me, I just kind of took a back seat and went, what? And it's not around food, but he said he works at the high school. That's one of his allotted schools that he services. And there was a student that just wasn't showing up. And so he did a home visit. Do you know he found out that boy was not going to school because he didn't have a pair of shoes? That just, I was almost in tears this morning, because I thought, what? And he got him a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And he's back in school every day. But that's what I'm talking about. He's not going to want to tell you.
Right.
It's hard. It's you carry shame and embarrassment that you shouldn't. And
Right.
that's another reason why I talk, because I'm trying to show people, hey, it's no reflection of the woman I am. I know who God says I am. I'm a beautiful woman. I have faults just like everyone else, but we're imperfectly perfect just as we are.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of times as a child, you start to believe it's because you've done something wrong or you're afraid of being teased. I know last year there was a 7-8-year-old boy went up in front of it to his teacher and asked, and another little boy heard and started teasing him. So he stopped asking. But I was fortunate his mother reached out and called me. And she says, I just want to get food for him. And it was before the holidays. And I said, oh, what about a toy? And she says, yes, that would be nice. And the social worker went out and verified whether, to make sure that this kid really needs this resource. And she had said to me, the mother said, she's like, don't worry about my middle school kids, my high school kids. I said, oh, how many do you have? And she said, I have 5. And I said, oh, well, I want to make sure that they're all getting what they need. But that's even, right? A mother's having to make a decision. Oh, well, my youngest children, please at least help them. And I'm like, oh, no.
Right.
If I can figure this out, all 5 of the kids were added to the program, and the high school kids did receive, I think because the mayors helped us too, they donated, I asked for 100 balls last year, like between basketballs, footballs, rubber balls, just something simple that a kid can have. And those kids got a toy for Christmas.
You're meeting them where they're at then too. And so that's, that's always a big part of it, right? Is meeting the children where they're at, or these families where they're at, and rather than saying, here are the resources, come get them.
Yes, and that is actually years ago what had me expand it. So I first started going out in my first year. I had a high school friend, Kim Cable. She's a school nurse. She has now retired. But at the time, she was talking about how at her school, the kids were coming in with jugs, empty jugs, so they could take water home to their family. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Fast forward, she hooked me up with Patrick Camacho, the social worker there in Dedido, and I said, I want to see how I can serve and help. We were going out and doing shoes. And the next Christmas, I'm like, wait a minute, how do these kids get toys? And I was talking to one of them, and they said, well, we pass out forms to all of them, and their parents go. And I said, wait, you and I both know that there are going to be a portion, right? So some people in the community, that's a huge blessing to them, and that's a great resource. But I was like, there's some of them that don't have transportation.
Right.
I said, how are they going to get a toy? And so that's when I started. I just did it out of my own pocket, and I said, and it was a fidget spinner. It was a simple fidget spinner, but do you know what? That hit the mark. That year, I think I bought 100 fidget spinners, and that community of kids, and, we don't share the pictures, but she did send me a couple of pictures of the kids with their fidget spinner, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so that's what I say to people. I'm like, it doesn't have to be, we're not trying to replace the parents being active supports in their lives. We're about a hand up.
Sure.
Something to bring a little bit of joy to that child in those situations.
Yeah.
I had another social worker, she messaged me yesterday, and I said, oh, what does she think about, what do you think about the meal program? And she said, this one child who's experiencing homelessness, she noticed he was excited every week. And I was like, okay, he's excited. Our food's not fancy. A lot of times I think, like, are they excited for the chocolate pudding? Because we don't give treats and candy and stuff except for like a few holidays if we can. And I was like, he was excited, and she goes, because it was his. He has very few possessions. I know that his family, I see the family. They see where they're living. They see what they have and don't have. And I was like, but a child's excited about food.
Yeah.
Canned food. That says something.
Right.
And I had the exact same experience a few years back with one of the elementary schools. The volunteer that week was out sick, and I was here, so I'll go drop him off. And then the school counselor goes, Are you Lori Marble? And I said, yeah, I'm dropping off the food. And she goes, oh, wait. And I said, oh, okay. And she brought out the 15 children, kindergarten through 4th, 5th grade. And I will never forget that experience. Those children were so kind and so excited. And they showed me how they come in pairs of 2 at this school. So even the fact that all 15 normally don't interact, right? Because they're trying to keep the privacy, trying to make it so that people
make
don't
it
really
dignified.
Yes, dignified. People don't really know what's going on.
Right, exactly.
And so 2 children will come up and they open their little backpack. That was when a little girl turned to me, maybe a 1st grader, and she goes, you gave me this backpack at Christmas. And I thought, oh, that's probably Toys for Tots, because they partnered with us. Okay. And I was like, cool. Yeah. But she was so proud of it. Yeah. And then she opened it up, and the meal pack goes in. And I said to the kids, okay, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite food? And I thought, it was going to be something that they got once in a treat, like chips. Okay, I love chips. But this little boy goes, Spam. And I thought, wow, that Spam is what he was excited to get. Right. And one little girl was like, because they talk about, we also have them even, you can open your backpack and you can start to eat some of that food. Like, you don't have to wait. Right. And so they can open it, eat the little fruit snacks, those type of things. And one girl, she was saying like, oh, my sibling is going to be so happy. And I know that's because, right?
She's wanting to share.
Yes, and we feed 350 children, but we have more than 35 schools, and that's less than 10 children a school. We want to keep growing.
Yeah,
we want to grow.
Because there is a need.
There's less. I mean, think of a school. Yeah. The schools are large. Think of 10 kids. You think 10 kids in that school are not hungry.
Yeah, far more.
Yes. Yeah. And so we're in one of the high schools. But my heart would be after this next year that we're in all the high schools. Because if that one high school boy is looking for a pair of shoes to go to school, I am banking that he doesn't have regular food source.
Absolutely. I think also there's so much going on, right? So September is, you said, is Action Month?
It is Hunger Action Month. Okay. And that's a nationally recognized awareness month. Okay. And it was really neat because there's a neat fact about it. I was talking to Landon about it this last month as we're getting ready, and I said, I kind of give him a hard time that we're doing the Tower for Humanity in September because of my husband's birthday. And I'm like, dude, I don't like to not be home for my husband's birthday. And I said to him, but September is nationally recognized. And I said, I did more research on it. And the interesting fact is it's Feeding America that created it.
Oh, okay.
So Feeding America created this national awareness. And as they created the national awareness, for the past 3 years, I know about Feeding America. I reached out to them each year because I was going to big brands. I was going to Kellogg's. I was going to Post. I was saying, can you donate food? And they said, well, we donate to Feeding America. And Feeding America then donates onto food pantries.
Okay.
Well, Feeding America, unfortunately, has for the last 3 years let me know that they only feed in the 48 states. It is the land of America.
So the non-contiguous states, Alaska, Hawaii, they're not meeting the needs there.
They are not meeting the needs
and
there.
then obviously the territories.
And not the territories.
Right.
And so I said to Landon, I said, so we need to have September as Hunger Action Month here on the island. And he got it set up. And the governor's office said, let's get a proclamation.
Yeah, I saw that one last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, that's unfortunately just what happens sometimes is there's those barriers.
Yeah.
We're purchasing food from those big stores.
Yeah.
Those big brands.
Right.
But not recognized sometimes when it comes to our food pantry.
Yeah. I even asked a couple questions, not naming the stores, right? But they'll do some kind of, outreach, and they say, oh, this company is going to match. I'm like, oh, what organization are you supporting? And I'll look at the organization. I'm like, you don't even have a chapter here in Guam. And so not that I don't want to support, of course, but organizations like yourself, are meeting the needs here.
I think those are great questions to ask. And that's part of, right, the conversation is I'm saying to people, know where your money is going, know where your donation is going, know what percentage. Because even my daughter was the one who taught me that. She's
like administrative costs and what's actually going towards the mission.
Yes, because she's an oncology nurse.
Right.
And so there are some large cancer nonprofits that do great work, and a good percentage of it goes to making changes, helping to find cures. And then there are some that a very small portion of it goes. And so that's also where I am fortunate that I, at this point, am still a volunteer in my nonprofit. So I can tell people when they donate financially, 100% of that will go to either purchasing food, hygiene items, a backpack, like you said, which that we hope to get more donated.
Okay.
But I did send, they have $5 backpacks at
where?
At Target.
Okay.
And
they ship here.
They did.
Yeah.
Because I shipped them.
Yeah, they ship here.
I shipped a big box of them.
Okay.
Because I'm always trying to best use the dollar. I try purchase items here, but I'm always trying to navigate where we can best use the resources.
Right.
But yes, so...
Because that's a good point then. So if we're not able to find some of the things like the backpack, I see your PayPal account too on your website. And so I would encourage a lot of people to just... There's so much information on your website, and you can donate directly to Be Heartfelt on the website. Yeah.
Yes, and that's also why I post as many photos as I do, because it's not because I want people to see 50 different shots of Lori, because I have to tell you, I'm not a big fan of some of my pictures, but I want people to see that those backpacks went to that child.
Yeah.
I want to see those shoes got put on those kids' feet. I want people to have confidence that their donation is going where it needs to, and that none of it is going to go in the wrong manner. I just, that transparency is a big part of it for me.
Yeah, and so right now there's so much, like we said, there's so much going on with Be Heartfelt and all of your partners like Tower for Humanity over at the Ganya Shopping Center. They started building yesterday.
They did.
So you've seen,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So it's the Dubai's one, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Zabil?
I'm not sure either, so I'm glad that you ended up having to pronounce it and not me. I'm just being honest.
Zabil Tower Construction. And so it started yesterday, and it'll go on until October 3rd, so next week, right?
Yes.
And so the third annual Construction Guam is happening at the Agana Shopping Center.
Yes.
Around the tower, right?
Yes, it will be finished and everyone can see it.
Right.
And we now refer to it as Cans for Humanity.
There you go. And so there's a competition as well. And so are you still looking for teams?
Yes.
Yes.
And
okay.
That's a great question because when I had lunch at Mosa, I was talking to Guahan Pets, Animals in Need nonprofit, and I was saying the misconception, I think, is that you have to have the most amazing, thought out over months structure. Yes, we have some teams that, I am blown away by what they create. And yes, we do have a fun, healthy competition for the most cans, most creative. But I told them, I was like, you could sign up today. And I said, you could make a very simple animal canned food structure. And you can show, right? Because at the end, what we're trying to show is different groups, businesses, nonprofits, schools, people, teams, families. I want to end hunger of children on this island too.
Yeah.
That's all it's about. And so I said to anyone, I'm like, you could be a team tomorrow, and I'm going to give you a little hint. And maybe I said this last year too, but you could buy yourself a few cases of Vienna sausage, and you can make a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fancy to be purposeful.
Right.
We all come as we are. We come with what we have. And that's why I said they can also volunteer their time. If someone says, I only have enough finances to take care of my family. Okay. Well, I'll take your hands.
Yeah.
I'll put you to work with me. It doesn't have to be all about finance. It's about being purposeful in our choices. And so, yes, I think you guys could actually make a Power 98.
There you go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we
Wave.
go. Here we go.
We could do it
right?
together.
Here goes
Little
Lori.
design.
She's good.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
She's good.
We're working on something. I don't want to give it away, but I know a friend of ours is her name rhymes with Reese.
Okay.
And so
Oh, that's a tough one. That's hard. Who could it be?
So we're coming up with something. Yeah, and so we're excited. Again, the third annual Construction Guam Cans for Humanity. Right?
Yes, that
Yes.
is our new name because
There
we
you go.
wanted it to be in line with the fact that the Atlet brothers,
Do the Tower for Humanity.
they do the Tower for Humanity, and Landon did come up with the idea for the canned food towers. And once he told me, I said, I am on it.
Yeah,
But we want to give ownership to the fact that
sure.
we are going to do this partnership every year until we can't stack cans anymore and they can't build logs anymore. So
There you go. So much, again, donate to a participating construction team or Cans for Humanity team. You can drop off at any of the drop-off locations. If you don't know, there's a QR code on the flyer, and we can always send that too and put it on our WhatsApp it back over to yourself. But again, you can go to, you've got Facebook, Tower for Humanity. You've got Instagram, Tower for Humanity. You've got the Be Heartfelt Gmail. So that's beheartfelt@gmail.com. Is it contact Be Heartfelt?
it is.
Yeah, contact beheartfelt@gmail.com. But then the actual website is beheartfelt.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also have, this is how generous the Atlet brothers are. I don't know if people realize that they purchase all of these logs.
Yeah.
And they have purchased some really nice big ones and all different sizes, but you can come down, watch what they're doing. You can write your name on it.
On the big ones too?
Depending on how much you
Right.
donate,
Yeah.
you can put it on them and you can decorate it and you can see it
I've
as
seen
part of that. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another way. All of the proceeds go to purchasing the food for the kids.
Yes, absolutely. And so on the award day, or when you're going to be announcing the most cans collected, most creative tower and structure, and the People's Choice. What day is that going to be on?
So that's October 5th. So
October
October 4th is when the teams actually build their
We'll be there,
structures.
yeah.
And then October 5th, we invite everyone in the community to come and vote.
Okay.
Pick out the most creative. Encourage, your school that's part of it.
Right.
Who your favorite is. And place your vote. And then at 5, we will do awards.
And that's on a weekend too, so we can carve out some time to build the structure on a
Yes.
Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yep. And then you said the 5th?
Yes, so
Yeah.
the 4th is Saturday when they build.
Yep.
And depending on how elaborate it is,
Right.
it might, a Rubik's Cube, I don't know, that might take
Yeah.
you half an hour.
Is it timed?
It is not.
So you
you
got
could
all
come-
day.
Yes, you could
Yeah.
make a really simple one, or
Okay.
you could make a very extensive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it away, but there are a few teams like Guam Girl Scouts.
Okay.
I did give it away. But those
We love
girls,
the Guam Girl Scouts.
that
Yeah.
troop
Happy
406,
90th birthday.
I know.
Yeah.
That troop of Girl Scouts, it is incredible what they made last year. And they won for most creative.
There you go.
So, right, they spent the entire day
keep,
on it.
How do you keep other teams from looking at what you got? I imagine it's so competitive that they'll look and be like, we're done, and then they'll look at the other side and be like, we're not done yet.
I don't think that's actually a bad thing, though.
Yeah, right?
Because
No.
if you go run to the
You can
local
always
grocery
build
store
on
and
it,
then
yeah.
come back with
Right.
more,
Yeah.
I think that's a win.
There you
but
go.
no, so the teams I think that really go all out,
Yeah.
I think that they're pretty hard to match.
Right.
That's one of those where you're like, how did you build that?
Right. I mean, that's all fun, and I understand that you should be competitive, but everybody is doing it for the right reasons, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so we're all doing it to feed the hungry children here in Guam, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and everyone has a good spirit around it because our awards are not big, right? Thousands of dollars in the community or those type of things.
Right.
They're, even the actual, if you go to Costulas, because they have won a couple years in a row, they have.
Oh, they're experts.
They have
Those are the people that I want to go to and like, how do I build my tower?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, Queenie, that's her name. She works at Costulas, and she is the brains behind the big structure.
Yeah,
But they have,
Yeah.
we make a trophy
okay.
out of canned food.
There you go.
And so they have multiple trophies, and I was like, our first year, I was, hot gluing it together and stuff. And she's like, no, we keep it in our office, Lori. She's like, we're very proud of that. And so they had the right heart,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. A question is, where are these locations? Well, we got one here. So behind DRT, in the Barragata Heights area here at the Glimpses headquarters. But every village mayor has a drop-off area,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
the entire Mayor's Council of Guam has partnered up as a drop-off location. And so you can drop off your cans at any of the village mayor's offices. Yeah. And then also the Marine Corps Base Camp Laws, I know, is a big one too.
Yes. Yes. We're really excited that they
It's
came
gonna
on
be tough
this
to beat
year.
those Marines. I don't
Well,
know if
and
we're gonna
okay,
beat the
here's the
Marines.
funny side story. So, Landon and I are looking at all the teams and all the Google Forms coming in,
Yeah.
and he likes to, put out the media and all of that. He's very good at it. And all of a sudden, he puts in the group message, I heard someone on the radio. He's like, the Marines are going to be a team and they have drop-off locations. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it. And he's like, what? What do you mean? And I said, well, they didn't tell me. And I said, but I'm excited. And he's like, no, I'm excited too. But it's just that, like, It was at least 15 days in before we found out they were doing it.
Okay, I was about to say, like, do you not know? Because I swear I saw the release.
No, we do know. We do know, and they did a beautiful job of putting it out. And actually, right? That's what you want. You want people in the community that are like, I want to match you. Yeah. I want to, the Girl Scouts, their drop-off locations and their partners, I was like, how did you get those stores? I'm like, how'd you get those distributors? Like, you need to tell me your connections. Yeah. But I love it because, right, it's not about one person doing all the work. It's about a community accessing each of our resources, the people we each know. So I say it can be one person asking their family and friends. It can be, hey, I know that person who owns that business and they sell these food items. Can I see about them donating? So it's a community effort. And so I loved that the Marines stumped Landon. I'm just saying. It was just a little personal moment because he's very on top of his game.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm always trying to keep up.
So you're going to be with us for the rest of the week leading into Towers for Humanity?
Yes, I will be down there at the Agana Shopping Center because what I will be doing is I also sell T-shirts. So I make Be Heartfelt T-shirts, and then I make a T-shirt. This year it says, we can all block hunger.
There you go.
You get the block and the hunger in there. And so all of the proceeds for it go to feeding the kids. Nice. And so I'll be selling T-shirts. I'll be sharing with people about the need, and then, that they can donate. They can write on the different timber logs. Yeah. And then Landon may think I've gone rogue on this too, but our hygiene kit program has really been struggling with having enough resources, and toothpaste is a big commodity. So I say if you drop off your canned food directly at the Agana Shopping Center or your toothpaste, then we will count it towards a log that you can sign your name on.
There you go. Okay.
I don't think he's going to be upset with me, but we need that toothpaste. Yeah. We give out 80 girl, 80 boy hygiene kits per month.
So what are we looking at? Just one toothpaste will get you a block?
Yes.
Okay.
Or a shampoo.
One toothpaste.
I'm going rogue.
Yeah. Get you a block. And like you said,
shampoo and toothpaste are the two toughest things for us to get for our pantries for the children.
Again, it's all back to dignity. You know, I mean, when you have these items, you bring dignity to an individual.
After I got off that airplane, after 27 hours of flying, and I went to take a shower, I just thought about a child who has to go multiple days without being clean. Then the comments that naturally happen in a school because they may not smell perfumey or clean. And that's what we want to do. We want to end these kids feeling as though they don't fit in school or fit in our society, or that we don't see them. Just because they're hidden doesn't mean that we can't show them that we see them, we love them, and as a community, we want to wrap our arms around them and care for them. Absolutely. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lori, for coming in, doing
you.
all the work that you do. We'll stay in touch. We'll make sure that we continue to share all of your successes, and because again, it's all for a great cause, right? This is again feeding hungry children in Guam, but not just in Guam. What Be Heartfelt does is all over. I mean, you're making so many connections, and so another way to support all of what Be Heartfelt does, not just in Guam, but in Palau, in the Philippines, in Peru, in Kansas, and then you're reaching out even further into our neighboring islands. Yes. And so check out BeHeartfelt.com. Wow. And there are ways to donate for the mission. But thank you again so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, anytime, of course. 3:01 in the afternoon. We just went right through this hour. I'm sure our sponsors are more than happy to that we were able to focus specifically on Be Heartfelt, and so we're grateful. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for pickup at your convenience or delivery right to your doorstep. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean, and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Commission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
At myenergyguam.com, you can track your daily energy use, check your patterns, see when your household uses the most power, and make simple changes that can lower your bill, all from the comfort of home.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Try GPA's free online energy expert tool. In just minutes, you'll get a virtual home energy audit with customized tips to save money on your electricity bill. Visit GuamPowerAuthority.com.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
Bolt your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Marlar, the host of Weird Darkness, every Thursday night from 6 to 8 here on Wave 105.1. Every week on Weird Darkness, you'll hear 2 hours of stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, crime, conspiracy, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Weird Darkness, this Thursday night at 6 on Wave 105.1.
Deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility.
We're going to look at all of our security posture more thoroughly now.
Family of D.C. plane crash victim sues.
Their lives will never, ever be the same.
Jimmy Kimmel's first night back after suspension.
He was contrite without being obsequious, and he was defiant without being strident.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. 1 detainee has been killed and 2 others are critically injured in a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons tells CBS News the shooter opened fire from a roof onto the ICE location.
The shooter fired indiscriminately into vehicles. The detainees were in the vehicle at the time. They weren't outside. There was no way he could have known detainees were in there.
Lyons says the suspect, who he identifies as Joshua John, took his own life. KRLD's Alan Skaya.
People had started showing up for appointments when they say they heard gunshots. One guy took video of him and his family ducking into their car. Another was staying at a hotel across the freeway and says he heard about 10 seconds between each shot.
He was targeting and zeroing in and then shooting.
The FBI says the gunman killed himself, calling this targeted violence. Director Kash Patel says the shell casing had anti-ICE written on it. Alan Skaya for CBS News, Dallas.
President Trump says the violence is, quote, the result of the radical left Democrats constantly demonizing law enforcement. The family of a victim in the deadly Washington, D.C. plane crash earlier this year is suing American Airlines, the FAA, and the
The widow of Casey Crafton from Connecticut, Rachel, who was raising 3 boys, filed the lawsuit. Daley Crafton is the victim's brother and read a statement from her.
Because of this avoidable tragedy, my young sons and I have to go through life without the love, support, guidance, and laughter Casey gave to us.
Attorney Bob Clifford says they're seeking airline and government changes.
The FAA allowed this environment to exist, knowing that there was massive congestion and these number of near misses.
Matt Piper, CBS News.
Despite a blackout by 2 major TV station owners, ABC says nearly 6.3 million people watched the Jimmy Kimmel Live broadcast last night, and more than 26 million people watched Kimmel on social media as he defended free speech and took jabs at FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. Typically, he gets almost 2 million viewers each night on TV. ABC affiliate owners Sinclair and Nexstar are not airing the show after Kimmel was suspended over comments connected to Charlie Kirk's murder. Variety's Brian Steinberg.
There are discussions going on. I'm not sure how long Sinclair and Nexstar can do a preemption of a single show without some other basis like a local disaster or news event to make it being so. They have contracts in place that are supposed to be honored.
Tropical storm Humberto forms in the Atlantic Ocean and takes aim at the Azores. Now this.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Democrats say they've drawn a line in the sand over the possibility of a government shutdown next week and want a funding deal in writing. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries.
If the government shuts down, it will shut down because Donald Trump and Republicans in the House and the Senate have made that decision to intentionally inflict pain on the American people.
President Trump says on social media the Democrats in Congress seem to have totally lost their way and the ball is in their court. The 4 astronauts set to venture around the moon on Artemis II share an update on their first crewed NASA mission aimed at eventually establishing a long-term presence at the moon. Mission Commander Reed Weissman.
I know this week NASA has said that we're going to open the launch window in early February, and we just do not anchor on dates. We are going to launch when this vehicle is ready, when this team is ready, and we are going to go execute this mission to the best of our abilities.
White House official says President Trump tomorrow is expected to sign a deal to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
Hafa Adai, Guam, good afternoon. You are tuned in to The Brightside here on the Wave 105 FM. 10 minutes after 3 o'clock this morning, being brought to you by Chili's Grill and Bar, Code School of Guam, GTA. We start with you, Micropack, Sentinel Security Solutions, and Sherwin-Williams Paints. Don't forget our friends over at Subway. Eat fresh. Your local headlines for you right now. It's Skylar Obispo, and it's brought to you by our friends at McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. Philippine Airlines will launch 3 flights a week between Guam and Cebu. Senator Jesse Lujan, chairman of the 38th Guam Legislature's Committee on Transportation, Tourism and Customs, Utilities, and Federal and Foreign Affairs, told the Journal that the new flight is part of an ongoing discussion on a possible visa waiver program for Filipino tourists. In addition, the inclusion of flight incentives in the fiscal year 2026 GovGuam budget was also a priority. Lujan highlighted that tourism is a part of the foundation of Guam's economy and that action needs to be taken with urgency to avoid losing the revenue stream permanently. In more news, Inalahan Middle School has passed its annual public health inspection with a rating of B, a big achievement from last year's C rating according to the Guam Department of Education. IMS received 18 demerits this year versus 32 from the year prior. GDOE says that due to the hard work of the school's staff and the help of the Inalahan Mayor's Office, the school is fully prepared for the school year ahead. Reporting from the Marianas Business Journal, the Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
It's a human sign when things go wrong.
Heck yeah.
Yeah?
I'm feeling it, baby.
Are you like that?
Yeah.
Little bit.
Some of that new generation,
You know,
collabing.
little sprinkle. I
Right?
sprinkled it.
With Elton John.
Yeah. Dua Lipa. You like
Yeah.
her? Yeah, okay.
You know who I like better?
Who?
The president.
Yeah!
Of the Mayor's Council of Guam. Yes. PT. Mayor Jesse Alec. Hafa Adai.
Wow.
Maybe
Son of a gun.
the
Yeah,
only-
I hope that. I wish that was done during election year. Can you do that next year? Oh no, we still have a while.
I'm
Ay,
down.
di na dos.
I'm just gonna, you let me know when you want me to help you campaign, and I'll take leave.
I'll let you know. Can do today, Pauly.
I don't even know if you need help campaigning. Only one person voted against you.
Oh yeah, that's right. They wrote themselves in, right? Or they wrote somebody in.
They wrote themselves. They've exposed themselves too, because when you go and see who are the write-ins in PT,
yeah,
there's only one write-in.
That's right.
Hafa Adai,
Man, you got a great memory.
I'll never forget it.
Son of a gun.
Yesterday, you guys had a special session, right?
Yeah, but before we do that, I just want to say I'm so glad you had Lori on.
I did. Yes.
She came to me, several years ago, and since then, I think we've just had, just a good relationship, and I'm so glad that you allowed her time to talk about it. It's, I don't think we forget. I think there's just so much going on in our lives, and sometimes, it's the people that need the help the most are not, front of mind. And especially when it's children, it really, for me, that hurts the most, right? When children are affected. I mean, we all were children at one point. You have children, and you just don't want them to ever suffer. But because the fact is that they do, I'm glad that people are out there. And I'm also glad that the mayors are trying, continue to try their best to solicit to support the cause. I mean, nobody wants to go hungry, especially children. So that's great. I'm glad that you had her on, and I was listening to her for a while. And I certainly hope that the project continues to be successful, because we've been talking about filling gaps, and as she certainly, and her organization, together with the Idlet Brothers and everyone else, there's so many other new partners and in this project and in the things that they do that really truly fill those hunger gaps when it comes to our children. So great. I'm so glad that you had her on.
Well, and your residents too. The mayors know their residents, and so
yeah, for sure. And the thing too is, it's because it's not just general. Like we don't even really just want your cash. We need actual items, because it's easier for us to take these items and give it to the people or give it to the children. And one of the things that we were always helping her with is the shoe collection. And, granted, there are other people who are not registered in the program who need help. People will still come to the office and ask if we have shoes.
Right.
And, it takes a lot of courage to do that, because not everybody's going to say they need help.
Right.
And when they do, because we're all kind of a family in our villages.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they came to ask for help, because that's what it's there. That's what the project is there for, is to help them. And when you come to ask for the help, I'm not even going to question you, because especially when you bring the child with you, it just absolutely breaks my heart, because we complain about what we don't have, but some of these children absolutely have nothing. And I mean, I can go on and on about it, but it's beautiful. I'm hoping to do something this year for Christmas for children. I'll announce that soon enough. But really, when it comes to children, and you know it, right? We all children want.
I think what you mayors do around Christmas time is so exceptional, right? Because I will see some of these in these chats in the villages that I'm not even part of. They'll start forwarding these flyers about giving away bikes, doing some of these just events specifically for the kids in your village, right? And it's very intimate too, the way you present it within your village.
Yeah, for sure. And it just, like I said, it always. I'm just glad that most of us remember being a child once, and whether it was a good experience or a bad experience, we've learned from either. We've learned from both.
Yeah.
And how do we're elected to a position that serves the people. So whatever we do, no matter how difficult, we should always remember that there's someone that's going to need help. And if we can help them in some way, then then we should be there. And that kind of and that's also the responsible thing. It's a responsible thing to do, to take care of one another.
Right.
And so leading into the whole subject of being responsible and the abandoned vehicle.
Yes. So maybe if we can walk it back a little bit, right? And so, because Stephen called in yesterday, and I'm trying to, now that I have you, to better understand what was it or what is it that the mayors do when, what is your responsibility as a mayor with the abandoned vehicles, and then we can move forward into now. Then we can talk about how you as a council came together and voted to no longer have this responsibility. But what exactly is the responsibility first?
Well, are you asking the responsibility under the Recycling Revolving Fund or the responsibility under Title V, Chapter 40?
Only under the Recycling Revolving Fund, that $1.5 million that you are going to get.
So
what is exactly
under the program, under the Island-wide Environmental Cleanup Program from the Recycling Revolving Fund, the agreement is that we would dispose recyclables. Our operations plan and our expenditure plan approves the disposal of junk vehicles, abandoned vehicles, electronics, white goods, green waste, and tires. And so that's the responsibility based on the MOU. And so the drawdown of the money, all the money was given to us, the entire 1.5 in January, as reported by our executive director.
Right.
And then there was she reported, chronologically, the work that was being done to effectuate the pickup of the disposal of the abandoned vehicles, ultimately ending in a protest. Right. So that's kind of where we're at now. It's really kind of it's at a standstill. Nothing can be done with that money, which is really unfortunate because it's just the way things go, I guess, when it comes to procurement and how we actually have to, we're at the mercy of that process. So, that's it. I hope that answers your question, at least that one question.
Sure, yeah. And so I think it was Mayor Anthony Chargloff that wanted to understand the status of fixing unpaid invoices and vendor concerns from 2022 to 2023. He asked what the timeline is, what the executive director is looking at. And so she said that she received some stacks of invoices, 2 years worth, going back to 2022. Vendor participation in bids are poor. Only one applied last time and then pulled out. If payments aren't fixed next year, will be the same. There's a couple options here: rebid, do some small purchases, or seek legislative policy to distribute money per village. But the real question is there even a functioning vendor market for this? And then Mayor Chargaloff said, well, given all this, mayors should consider pulling out of the abandoned vehicle responsibility. And he says it's really EPA and DPW's job, but mayors get criticized when the vehicles sit for too long. And so eventually, when you voted to only take out the responsibility of abandoned vehicles, but after after like Mayor BJ talked, after Mayor Arroyo, Mayor Lezama, Mayor Beneventi, you guys recessed, came back out. You guys were going to discuss your SOP operations. However, Mayor June Blas said, can we go back and reconsider, and just move? She moves to reconsider and just no longer have any responsibility as it relates to the recycling revolving fund. And like you had mentioned, that includes abandoned vehicles, green waste, electronics, white waste, or what is it?
White
Appliances,
goods, yeah.
white
they
goods.
call it white
right?
goods, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that passed, right? So, so now it just the consensus is that, or the unanimous consensus is that we no longer want to be a part of the program. So now where does that leave us? And that's kind of where we're at. Where it's, I don't know really where that leaves us, because the law, well, there's no law yet, right? Because the budget bill hasn't been signed was not signed, and if they override it, then it becomes law. If they don't override it and something else happens, then we'll see what's going to happen with the 1.5 for 26 or fiscal 26. But let's just say that it's overridden, and if it is, then the 1.5 is already being given to the Mayor's Council of Guam. What I foresee is, because it was the action that was taken by the council, that we'd have to seek some kind of legal guidance as to what we're going to do within the law to obviously amend that, whether it's a new law to reverse the 1.5 and to return it to EPA, or something. But I'm sure it'll have to be done by statute, because if in case the bill is overridden, then it will be law. If it's not overridden, then I'm going to have to make sure that the senators are aware that the wish of the council is to no longer participate in the program. And then after that, it would be the communication with the EPA board to inform them that, that this is the decision of the council. Now, even if the bill is signed, the budget bill is signed into law and all that goes, there's still a process for the money to be drawn down. And again, I'm not sure what the legal process would be, but I wouldn't sign to accept the money, because the wish of the council is to not have the program. So again, it's all going to be about legal matters and how that will transpire to correct what may be law. And if it's not going to be law, then I think, again, but I'd have to check the legal people about how this would work. If the bill is not overridden, this is our opportunity to go in and make the amendment to the bill, or to create, or to just not allow it, and not appropriate it to the Mayor's Council of Guam, because the council does not wish to participate in the program. So it's two things, right? It's going to be the law and then EPA, and that's. I'm assuming that I'm going to wait for the law portion, because we're close to that. We're at that tail end, and we'll know in a few days what that looks like. And after that, my thoughts are that I would communicate with the board immediately after that, and unless, of course, I'm advised otherwise. But right now, it's kind of at a standstill. There's still the opportunity to use the fiscal year 25 money, the 1.5, because none of that money has been spent yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we played some of the recordings yesterday of what BJ Terlayu was saying, and then Arroyo said, and Beneventi, June Blas, right, of Barrigada. And so she had shared the concerns. 200 cars sitting somewhere in Barrigada, right?
Yeah.
And it's a huge challenge to remove them properly. And then Beneventi talking about how your vendors don't want to take these. It's not profitable to take these vehicles unless you remove the glass, remove the carpeting, the chairs.
So
and
now that I mean, because we don't really have to. That part is kind of it's a challenge, right?
Okay.
Because, and I say challenge because the details were not. There's a lot of miscommunication when it comes to that.
Okay.
In the previous years, we weren't concerned about that because the vehicles went straight to the recycler. It went straight to one of the two vendors. And it's part of their cost to do all the removal. A lot of the talk about the removal of glass and upholstery and fluids is because of the whole GSWA issue with their crusher. So that crusher issue, now that's a real, I don't know what to call it. You can't say it on the air.
Well, Steve called in yesterday and said it's a joke.
Yes, it is. Because I can't believe somebody should get fired there because they got a crusher but don't know how to use it. They got a crusher, didn't know what to do with all the cars. Shame on them. I mean, for real. And so now everybody, including some mayors, are concerned about, we have to. No. That was never our job. Our job was to pick up the car and bring it to vendor A or vendor B, whichever, because there were only two vendors.
Well, the vendors say they don't even want it, though, unless it's remove all of that stuff.
Well, but there's still another vendor who will take it.
Okay.
The other vendor will take it, and I've spoken to the vendor. The vendor will take it. The issue is that particular vendor won't take hundreds of vehicles a week. The vendor will take X amount every week because they have to process it. And I'm not going to fault the vendor for it.
Yeah.
Kudos to that vendor for trying.
Right.
But
so they're the ones that are going to properly. They need time to remove the glass.
They're going to do it.
Do it
and you
safely.
pay the price. You pay the price. And so we say, how much does it cost? It costs us an average of $650 per car in previous years to dispose it completely. Take it out of the village and bring it to the vendor, the disposal vendor. It was about $650.
$650 per car?
Yeah, per car.
Okay.
And that $650 took care of remove the vehicle from Guam. And it was the vendor's responsibility to remove the fluids, the upholstery, and everything else that to me needs to get moved out. It's the joke of the crusher that everyone's now spinning. Oh, you have to. Nah. Oh my gosh. You see the problem? That's what I'm saying. It's the miscommunication. No, we didn't have to do that. We've never had to do that because we pay the vendor to do it. And we have to pay the vendor to do it because who's going to do it?
Right.
We're not going to do it. We're just trying to clean up the roads and clean up the island. But yet, we get involved in all the. Yeah, that's what the miscommunication is the worst, and that's the thing. That's the process, the miscommunication, all of that, and it's terrible when it affects operations. And I'm going to connect it to emergency management. We've been meeting with FEMA, Homeland Security, and NWS just to get the mayors up to par with emergency management in case there's a disaster. And it is. It's all about the communication or the miscommunication. You don't understand a process, but yet you comment about it. And you guys play an integral role in communications and making sure that our people get the correct message. Mm-hmm. And mayors need to do the same. So the message about removing all this crap from the car before it's, that's not the whole truth. Mm. And it continues to come up all the time, and it irritates me because that's so elementary. That's not the problem. The problem is pure procurement. I'm selling it because that's the problem. It's not. The vendors are there. The vendors want to do it, but nobody, if you're not going to get paid right away, and if you're going to have to go through all this stuff to get paid or to even bid on anything, you're not going to want to do it. And I get it that there's a process, and I get it that there's a law. But, maybe I said it to you or Patty, if anybody wants to do anything, fix a procurement. There was even a summit on procurement.
Right.
And it's like, so it's the same thing. We're going to just, like all the other summits and forums, spinning the wheels, but the car's not moving. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, we want to be nice, right?
Absolutely. It's all about being, what is it?
Diplomatic.
Diplomatic, yeah. There's the key word again.
So let's do it.
When I see $650 per car, and you have $1.5 million, right, to do this, if in a perfect world, that would mean you would be able to successfully remove 2,307 vehicles?
Yeah, but you cannot split it like that because there are no, you cannot split it like that. It's probably about 600-some thousand dedicated to vehicles only.
Wait, why? Why?
Why? Because we have an operations plan and an expenditure plan.
Yeah. Okay.
And the expenditure plan, I think, is like 600-some thousand for vehicles, and then you got maybe 200 for tires, and probably another 200 for white goods, and 100 for electronics, something like that. 100 for greenways. So it's broken down,
right.
And we can go beyond it, but we have to go back to the board to change that plan. But yeah, it's typically not. No, it's not the entire 1.5 for vehicles. It's split up into the different types of recyclables.
Oh, right. And so,
yeah. So as a matter of fact, I wouldn't be giving you wrong information. But yeah, I can. It's probably what I have. I can give you exact numbers if you want.
No worries. I'm just trying to, now that you're even breaking it down further, it does come back also to, do you even, I don't think $1.5 million for all of that is sufficient. I think that's even the argument that constantly gets made when you bring it up at your meetings.
Right, and then the other thing was Mayor Hoffman made a good point, but I had to really clear it up because the point is, and like you just said, 1.5 is really not enough. The thing is, we can't ask,
because of
we can't go to the board and say 1.5 is not enough. You need to give us 2.5 because if we're going to clear everything out, but the issue remains, we cannot spend it quickly. We cannot spend it, Yes, we can estimate that it would cost us another $1 million to do it, but again, there's something that's tying our hands down, and it's not like the trash doesn't exist. It exists, and it doesn't mean that the vendors don't want to do it. There are vendors out there, and after the meeting, of course, I'm going to get phone calls because everyone's like, "What? We want a bid. But this, and I think I can't. There's no way that I'm changing anything for anybody because you can't talk to me about changing anything because I'm not going to, me personally, I don't work on procurement. And I'm glad that I don't do it because I wouldn't want to we're going to be protested every 5 minutes.
Right.
So, that's why we have the certified people doing procurement. And I'm just, we're just here to kind of guide guide the way forward. So it is interesting that it's not interesting, and it's probably not even new that the mayors ultimately did not want to be a part of the program because it's just all the bureaucracy of everything. And then the Mayor Hoffman also was talking about administrative costs. And we've been talking about administrative costs that we don't receive under this 1.5 million. But to be fair, we never really asked for it.
Sure.
And we never asked for it because I've always asked the council to, help me justify what this administrative cost would solve and what would it do, because that's personnel. And when we want to create positions and we want to pay warm bodies, not everyone's very happy about that. But I have always been of the contention that the program really weighs down our staff because it just adds more to what they already have to do for the 19 villages. And I say it all the time, you don't realize that we're like 19 small agencies in one, because every village is procuring something. Every village has human resources or personnel issues. Every village has, some infrastructure condition that needs to get resolved, and maybe it's not even that. Every village has a mental health problem or a people problem, and we have to resolve. So we see an entire gamut of issues and concerns in the 19 villages. So I really, and I made mention one time in something public that our organization has really grown and developed into something more than just bush cutters and Cascal deliverers.
Right.
Back in the day, we don't just deliver Cascal and let it go or cut the grass. I mean, there's just so much more that a mayor is.
They're going to ask you to react and produce when they're scared to drink the water.
And that too, right? And then it's like, and that too. So again, we just really, really, really need to make sure that, and that's another thing that I mentioned too, is, hey, we have to take a look at what our mandate, what our mandates are, and we have to remember that sometimes we cannot continue to bite off more than what we can chew, because we have to be able to manage what we already have and what is our primary responsibility. And if we can manage that, then we can take on more. But if not, then it has to go back to where it's supposed to go. Okay. And I'll be the first to say, senior center operations. And I have not been silent about this.
Right.
I've been vocal since day one.
Right.
Not that I don't like the Manamco. I love the Manamco. I'm going to have something specifically for them to pay. And I love our Manamco. That's not, and I love them. That's why I say this. Don't make us in charge of it, because we can't do it. We can't give them everything they need. And obviously we know that this program is under public health. Maybe, and I've asked public health reconsider and make an assessment of what needs to get done so that the lives of our Manamco are improved. Right now, it's status quo, Pauly. They do the same thing Monday through Friday. We have a new set of senior center operations workers who have, gone off island to attend conferences for senior centers. And, they're slowly starting to implement some of that because I'm seeing it. And I'm very grateful. As a matter of fact, today that they took some of Manamco on store tours to help them purchase, nutritious foods. But still, really, do you really want us to take care of your parents? And maybe they do. Maybe the answer is yes, they want you to. But if you do, then I think it really it pains me that we have not been able to do a real good assessment about with the Manamco as to what they really want in these centers. Because there are some villages that don't have centers Maybe they don't need a center. Maybe there needs to be a better program for them so that they can remain active and healthy. Because if, my dad was still around, and he wouldn't want to go to a center, but he sure as heck would want to do some other things. So why couldn't this program benefit him? Your parents, if your parents are I'm sure your parents are citizens, but what I'm saying is maybe they're not the type to sit down and play bingo all day. What if they want to go jet skiing? Why can't we take them there, right? If the program's going to fund it, because it typically would. So that's the type of assessment that I'm asking for, and I've been asking for, is that we really need to, when we're seeing dwindling numbers, and that's the truth. You're going to hear ads for senior center operations coming on, and I'm hoping to hear them on the wave. I listen to you guys every day. So one day I'm going to hear it, because I know that I've given the green light for it, but it's ads so that we can let people know that these programs exist and to sign up. And we'll see if that works.
No worries. Back to abandoned vehicles. So if this all stays, right, let's say that the legal opinion comes back, or you get the legal opinion that it will now be the responsibility of EPW, Guam EPA, and DPW, right? And
No. Let's not. We don't want to confuse that. We're not going to be able. They're not going to tell us whose responsibility is. What's going to happen ultimately is that the money would go back to EPA.
Okay. So the mayor's council doesn't get the $1.5 million. What will be your role now regarding your residents asking you about their vehicle that needs to be disposed?
It would go
refrigerator.
back to the law. It would go back to the law that tells us to make the request to the director of DPW.
Okay.
Which most are already doing.
Okay. And so you would tell your resident, hang tight, we've made the call. Somebody at DPW will connect with you and let you know when they're ready to remove your vehicle.
No. It wouldn't even be like that. The vehicles that we report, the vehicles by law that we're supposed to report to DPW are those that are abandoned. So if you don't have if you have a vehicle that doesn't work and you don't want it anymore, I can almost say that that's your problem.
Okay, and so
right? And then you would have to dispose it at one of the disposal sites, which you have to pay for.
So it would only be the vehicle that you're noticing on the side of the road for days now.
Correct.
Got it. And then the white goods, we know that not everybody is a customer for Guam Solid Waste Authority. So who will pick up their white goods if they're not a customer of Guam Solid Waste Authority? They're also going to have to manage that themselves, the removal.
Correct. It is that, yeah. And everybody needs to, that's the hard answer.
Right.
It's difficult to swallow, but for sure, because if and when this money is returned to EPA, it is going to be them to decide how they're going to use that money and to whom will that responsibility go to, if in fact the board wants to do it that way. Because they could do something else with the money, I'm assuming. I mean, it's gone to, I'm sure, I know T3 has received money from the Recycling Revolving Fund. So, if there's, it doesn't, I'm sure it doesn't preclude GSWA from getting money from it for them to do it. They're the trash agency.
Right. What? So I've talked to Mayor Botta, right? And so he says that he has set up a section. His residents know to take it to a certain area, and he'll take care of it from there. What happens now? Can he continue to do that? He won't have the money to remove it with he won't have the funding with the recycling revolving fund to remove it anymore.
Sure. So every mayor will, if they've made their decision to stage it, they can stage it. No, I'm not saying they can stage it. I'm just saying if they've made a decision to stage it, that's their decision.
He didn't even want to use the word staging because apparently you're not allowed to. But apparently,
yeah, you're not.
Yeah, but the reality is, it's somewhat
so
it's
there's still
known
money
in the
from the
community.
25 from fiscal to 25. The 1.5 million still exists, and as was reported, the POs the bids are out, and we're waiting on them. So hopefully there's no protest, and when that happens, then those sites those items can get picked up. So that's just kind of going through this process of procurement again.
Yeah. I already can see that there will still be residents that are going to call on their mayor.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And so how do we
and I don't know
address
if
all of that?
I mean, and that's why I said a part of your operations budget, you should include some contingency for this, because it may not be a lot, but there might be some, and you're going to have to make sure that you can figure it out, and you dedicate money from your fiscal year budget. And that's hoping that we do get the additional $2 million this year if the bill remains status quo.
Yeah.
Now, and then I also made mention that this is when you really justify your needs for fiscal year 27. So considering we wouldn't be removing bulk waste, and we wouldn't be removing all the vehicles that we typically do, you provide, you allocate a certain amount for all of the incidentals, and just make sure that when you propose your budget, that is inclusive of it. So we're not, left hanging and not being able to solve the problem. So that's how I think we can do. So for now, because the money should roll over, or is going to roll over, that oh my gosh, I shouldn't say that. If the current bill is overridden, then the money rolls over for fiscal 25, and we use the 1.5 this coming year.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of it's so difficult to understand in one sales swoop. Quite honestly, there's all different parts to it, but there's a resolution somewhere in all of it, and sometimes it's just the time and the process that we have to take. Not everyone likes it. The majority doesn't, like to wait. Who does?
Right.
But that's just our reality right now. Is we're waiting, and we're not just sitting on our laurels doing nothing. It's just that there's a process that has to happen.
In a perfect world, you all, like you had mentioned, you don't have a wrecker,
Yeah. I don't, right. And so, and that's the thing is, you have some mayors who are they're really good about taking one car, removing it, and dragging it to the next or to the lot. I don't have that capability. And what the other thing too is, am I going to rely on workers' compensation in case my guys get hurt out there? That's not. I would rather just not do it. I don't have the proper equipment to do that, and I'm not gonna. It's not worth. It's not worth. The emergency if anything should happen. Quite honestly.
Understood.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Understood. I mean, obviously, the mayors are still going to always be part of the equation to address some of the systemic issues that we have, right? But so that to me just strengthens your stance of if the mayors are always going to be part of the equation for addressing all crises in the villages, then we need to give them the resources.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I'm not even asking for it. I'm just saying and I've always talked about some kind of reform in our organization because, you know, we really have to just kind of buckle down and say, hey, what is it that we're supposed to do? Because we can't just do everything.
Right.
I mean, I just met with and then I'm just thinking about it again. This whole week we've been working with a team with the medical city, and
I saw that.
Yeah, and I realized, oh my gosh, really? Healthcare? and the problem is, it's not even about healthcare. It's okay. So the people are coming to us, and they're okay that these people are here to tell them about some of their options, and now they want to come back and say, hey, we want to propose something in every village that we would help with wellness and we would help with, you know, prevention, disease prevention. I'm thinking that is absolutely wonderful, but holy cow, here we go again. Again, right? It's like, okay. And then Young Men's League of Guam, bless their hearts, right? I met with them this morning because now, you know, our conversations are just continuing about what are we doing about our Chamorro language. Right. Yes, of course I want to help. I can speak and I understand. So let me help. So, you know, again, that just have a lot going on. Yeah. And it's worthwhile. I feel like it's necessary, but we need to remember that we need to just do what we can do and don't bite off more than we can do.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. And so cool. That's like a double-edged sword, right? Because there are some mayors that have a vision for what they want their village to look like, and then if you fulfill that vision, it becomes a reality. Then other people in other villages, or maybe even nearby, be like, "Hey, how come this village has this and we don't?"
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, Heidi,
because get ready.
Honestly, the work is so much fun. It really it's so much. It's fulfilling, and that's why I'm saying we really need to make sure that whatever we do, we can manage, and it's within our capacity. So.
I appreciate all the mayors for sure, and thank you so much for always just having these conversations on the air, on the record.
Of course. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. You just call if something comes to mind, and I'll certainly do the same.
All right. Take care, Mayor. Appreciate you.
You too.
Always.
Adios.
The president of the Mayor's Council of Guam, 3:54 in the afternoon. We'll take our break. Yeah? It's looking at you, I'm like, what time is it? I'm staring at you. I'm like, am I filling in again?
6:54.
3:54. The Brightside. Biba Webis.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
GPA smart grid technology helps crews respond faster when outages happen. It allows the system to detect issues and speed up restoration, making power service more reliable for families and businesses across Guam.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Need help with your account? GPA's customer call center can assist with payment plans, account updates, and more. Call 671-647-5787 for friendly support to keep your service running smoothly.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean, and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Mission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
Alrighty, Guam, Hafa Adai, everyone, and welcome back. We got 5 minutes right now in front of the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to go ahead and hit the streets for your real deal traffic report. It is being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, where you can schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO or check out our inventory, which is available on our website at guamautospot.com. And mobile gas stations, be sure to download our app today for exclusive fuel coupons. Visit guam.mobile.com for more details. Okay, guys, it looks like traffic is definitely picking up on the streets of Guam. Not 5 o'clock rush hour. Working our way into the 4 o'clock. We do have north and both southbound traffic up and around Camp Blas and Estubo this morning. That's going to be along Route 3. For those of you getting around GRMC this afternoon, along Route 1, you will find additional delays around that Jolly Bee intersection. Hamburger Road is also picking up with some north and southbound delays. The National Guard Center, you're going to find that in Barragata along Route 16, north and both southbound there, as well as Mongmong, Toktu, Mighty. Traffic in Hagåtña, we got both north and southbound traffic up and around the Agana Shopping Center, the Paseo Loop, West O'Brien Drive, as well as those of you getting around Anigua this afternoon. We got southbound traffic flowing through Asan, getting up and around PD. That's going to be around the port this afternoon. So yes, Guam, the streets of Guam are definitely picking up. Please watch your speed limit, eyes on the roads, no texting and driving. Ensure that your seatbelts are fastened. This is your real deal traffic report for the Brightside with Pauly Suba here on the Wave 105 FM.
Thanks to you and our community, the American Red Cross continues to make an impact, training thousands in life-saving skills because of your support. Lives are changed every day. This message of gratitude is brought to you by our diamond sponsors, First Hawaiian Bank, Mobile Oil Guam, and Blue Bay Petroleum, and our platinum sponsors, Bank of Hawaii, ASC Trust, and Bank of Guam. From everyone at the American Red Cross, thank you for standing with us. To learn more, visit redcross.org. Your support saves lives.
Talk the way it should be. Wave 105 FM.
Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul.
Who's the original on this? I remember when Uncle Cracker did it.
With Dobie Gray. Dobie
Gray.
Dobie
I remember
Gray.
Uncle Cracker did a remake. Is this Is this Uncle Cracker right
Uncle
now?
Cracker, yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah. You're
I
good.
knew
Look
it.
at that. See that?
I don't know if I'm good. I'm
you're good,
I'm
you're good.
questioning everything at this point. When you scared me yesterday.
Come on.
When you scared me with the whole
That don't count because that's
Britney
Britney Spears. Yeah, that's Britney. That don't
What
count.
was killing Britney Spears? And I couldn't figure it out in
Her
like an
loneliness.
allotted time. Like all the pressure. Like I
spooked you to begin
failed
with.
under pressure.
Right. I spooked you, man. Yeah,
And so
I got you off guard.
Dice posted it, and then here comes my wife saying, "This guy wasn't he in charge of a whole radio station that played only 90s and new millennium pop songs?"
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and
she
I'm
did.
like, I'm a failure.
No, that's okay. I threw you off guard. But check it though.
Failure.
You got a warm one on line 1. You want to take that?
Okay.
Okay, it's warm though. Okay.
3:59 in the
Okay.
afternoon, KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam. Hafa Adai. You're on the air.
Where?
You on the air. Where? The air. That's
Where?
where. That's where, senor. Joe Malik. Hafa Adai. Underwear.
I called to let you know.
Where?
I called to let you know. Mark told me to call you for a surprise.
Okay. What's the surprise?
I'm not going to tell you. Not a surprise.
So what are you going to tell me if you can't tell me the surprise? What is there to
It's
tell?
a surprise, so you have to wait until that surprise.
Okay, I will wait. For how long? I can't wait too long.
He's working on it.
Oh, no need. No. I don't need
He's almost finished. He's almost finished with it.
Ah, you dang. I don't need anything. I'm just grateful to have
No.
conversations with you, senor.
He's the one who making it, and he told me to call you to tell you the surprise.
Just Mossy. Well, whatever it is,
Better than
I am
the
grateful.
one you have.
Better? Not even close. Cannot be better. That one's super unique. No one has what I have.
I don't know. But he's the one who decided. So stand by.
Standing by, senor. Standing by.
As soon as he's finished with it, he told me to bring it up to the station.
No,
and give you.
I'll come down. I'll come down to you. I'll go to you.
I'll call you when.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and when it's ready.
Okay. I can't wait.
Don't blame me, because he's the one who told me to call you and let you know.
No, I'm not. I'm not getting mad at all. I have no reason to get mad.
I'm not joking.
How's everything else with you, senor?
Very bit tired. It's hot.
It's hot.
I'm just getting ready to go down to the ranch again.
There you go.
Get some bush cut because the grass, they let it go in 2 days. Man, there's use the ice out.
In 2 days?
There.
It's been raining so hard that in 2 days the grass grew that high?
Yeah, about
Wow.
2 feet.
2 feet? No
And
way.
The ranch is a big area, so I cut half of it and then move to another side.
How long does it take it to grow 2 feet, though?
To what now?
How long does how long does it take for the grass to grow 2 feet? Like if you don't bush cut, how long till you bush cut again where the grass is 2 feet high?
If I concentrate in one area, it's only 3 days.
3 days? Only 3 days?
Yeah.
That is some super sakati.
But that area down at the ranch, that's almost, an acre?
Okay.
An acre?
So
that's how big that place is. And the Sakowski, man, that Sakowski is really fast.
Yeah.
Not the regular grass.
So the sakati for me, on certain sections where the sakati is just out of control, maybe in 2 weeks it will be 2 feet high, but it's not. It's it's still like it's very easy to just cut right over, right? But if maybe in a month, then it's a lot taller and the roots are a lot stronger in a month, for sure. But
the whip
definitely
I use is the strong one, not the thin one. The strong one. All I need to do is fill up the bush cutter with gas, and I just keep moving around. I even can cut the tangansanga with that.
Wow, you got some.
You're
using strong whip if it's cutting down tongan too. Dang, that's thick. Then it's pretty thick, right?
Yeah, the strong one. Mark is the one who's tying it up because that thing is hard.
Heck yeah. The thicker it is, the harder it is to tie them.
To poop. Yeah, and Mark is the one who's cutting it.
Yeah. But 2 days, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Me with the amount of rain that is coming down, and every day that it rains and whatnot, maybe if I let it wait a week, it's going to give me a hard time cutting over it with the lawnmower, because I'll use a lawnmower for most of it because I got a pretty big yard too. And then I just use the bush cutter to get like the, around the trees and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't use the bush cutter for the whole thing. Not like you. You're just a bush cutter king. You don't even lawnmower. What's that? The whole thing is a bush cutter.
If it's a toe, I start from the top first and slowly cutting it down to almost to the ground.
Wow, I didn't even realize this. This whole time I've been calling it sakati, but it's not even called sakati. Sakati is when you harvest grass or whatever for feed. Neti is sword grass. I didn't know that until now. Farron just told me.
Neti is the one that can cut you, The problem, though, a lot of mosquitoes, man.
Oh, be careful because we have one case of imported dengue fever. So, yeah, be careful with the mosquitoes.
No, I use the face cover and long sleeve and long pants.
There you go. There you go.
So, stand by and I'll call you
I will.
to pick up your stuff.
I'm standing by, senor. Okay.
As soon as Mark finishes it, I'll call you.
All right. Tell Mark to take his time. Not even in a rush. No rush. Okay, senor.
Okay.
Adios. Esta. 4:06 in the afternoon. We will take our break. On the other side, we'll start playing some of those audio files that I sent you, Dice. This morning's Guam Memorial Hospital Authority oversight hearing that's hosted by, she's the chairwoman of she has oversight over GMHA, the Guam Memorial Hospital. Right on. So that's Senator Sabrina Salas Matanani. And so that oversight hearing took place at GMH. And so we'll start doing that on the other side of these, 4:06 in the afternoon, KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
Deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility.
We're going to look at all of our security posture more thoroughly now.
Family of D.C. plane crash victims sues.
Their lives will never, ever be the same.
Jimmy Kimmel's first night back after suspension.
He was contrite without being obsequious, and he was defiant without being strident.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. One detainee has been killed and 2 others are critically injured in a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons tells CBS News the shooter opened fire from a roof onto the ICE location.
The shooter fired indiscriminately into vehicles. The detainees were in the vehicle at the time. They weren't outside. There was no way he could have known detainees were in there.
Lyons says the suspect, who he identifies as Joshua John, took his own life. KRLD's Alan Skaya.
People had started showing up for appointments when they say they heard gunshots. One guy took video of him and his family ducking into their car. Another was staying at a hotel across the freeway and says he heard about 10 seconds between each shot.
He was targeting and zeroing in and then shooting.
The FBI says the gunman killed himself, calling this targeted violence. Director Kash Patel says the shell casing had anti-ICE written on it. Alan Skaya for CBS News, Dallas.
President Trump says the violence is, quote, the result of the radical left Democrats constantly demonizing law enforcement. The family of a victim in the deadly Washington, D.C. plane crash earlier this year is suing American Airlines, the FAA, and the
The widow of Casey Crafton from Connecticut, Rachel, who was raising 3 boys, filed the lawsuit. Daley Crafton is the victim's brother and read a statement from her.
Because of this avoidable tragedy, my young sons and I have to go through life without the love, support, guidance, and laughter Casey gave to us.
Attorney Bob Clifford says they're seeking airline and government changes.
The FAA allowed this environment to exist, knowing that there was massive congestion and these number of near misses.
Matt Piper, CBS News.
Despite a blackout by 2 major TV station owners, ABC says nearly 6.3 million people watched the Jimmy Kimmel Live broadcast last night, and more than 26 million people watched Kimmel on social media as he defended free speech and took jabs at FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. Typically, he gets almost 2 million viewers each night on TV. ABC affiliate owners Sinclair and Nexstar are not airing the show after Kimmel was suspended over comments connected to Charlie Kirk's murder. Variety's Brian Steinberg.
There are discussions going on. I'm not sure how long Sinclair and Nexstar can do a preemption of a single show without some other basis like a local disaster or news event to make it being so. They have contracts in place that are supposed to be honored.
Tropical storm Humberto forms in the Atlantic Ocean and takes aim at the Azores. Now this.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Democrats say they've drawn a line in the sand over the possibility of a government shutdown next week and want a funding deal in writing. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries.
If the government shuts down, it will shut down because Donald Trump and Republicans in the House and the Senate have made that decision to intentionally inflict pain on the American people.
President Trump says on social media the Democrats in Congress seem to have totally lost their way and the ball is in their court. The 4 astronauts set to venture around the moon on Artemis II share an update on their first crewed NASA mission aimed at eventually establishing a long-term presence at the moon. Mission Commander Reed Weissman.
I know this week NASA has said that we're going to open the launch window in early February, and we just do not anchor on dates. We are going to launch when this vehicle is ready, when this team is ready, and we are going to go execute this mission to the best of our abilities.
A White House official says President Trump tomorrow is expected to sign a deal to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Hafa Adai, Guam, good afternoon. You are tuned in to The Brightside with Pauly, Suba, and it's all being brought to you by our friends at Chili's Grill and Bar, Code School of Guam. GTA, we start with you. Micro Pack, open at our Tamuning and Mall locations. Sentinel, Security Solutions, Sherwin-Williams Paints, and Subway, Eat Fresh. We have your local headlines for you right now. It's Skylar Obispo from the Marianas Business Journal and the Guam Business Magazine, brought to you by McDonald's. Bringing on the fall flavors at McDonald's Guam. Treat yourself today to the pumpkin and cream pie, pumpkin spice latte, or pumpkin iced coffee. Hurry in for a limited time. It's only with our friends at McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. Philippine Airlines will launch 3 flights a week between Guam and Cebu. Senator Jesse Lujan, chairman of the 38th Guam Legislature's Committee on Transportation, Tourism and Customs, Utilities, and Federal and Foreign Affairs, told the Journal that the new flight is part of an ongoing discussion on a possible visa waiver program for Filipino tourists. In addition, the inclusion of flight incentives in the fiscal year 2026 GovGuam budget was also a priority. Lujan highlighted that tourism is a part of the foundation of Guam's economy and that action needs to be taken with urgency to avoid losing the revenue stream permanently. In more news, Inalahan Middle School has passed its annual public health inspection with a rating of B, a big achievement from last year's C rating according to the Guam Department of Education. IMS received 18 demerits this year versus 32 from the year prior. GDOE says that due to the hard work of the school's staff and the help of the Inalahan Mayor's Office, the school is fully prepared for the school year ahead. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, The Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Country music lives on Route 99 FM. Tune in to 99.5 FM or listen live online at Route99FM.com to catch all your favorite country music non-stop and direct. 24/7 country music. Classics, throwbacks, and the chart toppers are keeping you cruising on Guam's road to all country music, Route 99 FM.
Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and hit the streets really quick with another look at your real deal traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM. 15 minutes after 4 o'clock right now, and it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, where you could schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO or check out our inventory available on our website at guamautospot.com. And mobile gas stations, download our app today for exclusive fuel coupons. Visit guam.mobile.com for more details. We do have strong northbound traffic. Heads up Guam coming up and around Asan this morning. It looks like it begins around the Asan Beach Park and it stretches all the way down towards the Governor's Complex. We got north and both southbound traffic in Hagåtña this afternoon, especially outside of Paseo, the Agana Shopping Center, Mongmong to Mighty, that's going to be Route 8, as well as Route 1 into Mooning at the ITC FHP intersection, up and around Challenge San Antonio, getting around the Grand Premier Outlet, the JFK Kmart intersection, as well as those of you coming around the Micronesia Mall. We would like to remind the motorists, please watch your speed limit. Allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you. Try not to tailgate each other this afternoon. And remember, guys, seatbelts are sexy. This is your real deal traffic report, and it's all being brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot and mobile gas stations.
It's here, BK's new Crispy Onion Whopper. The Crispy Onion Whopper features a quarter-pound beef flame grilled to perfection, topped with crisp lettuce, juicy tomatoes, creamy mayo, melty American cheese, bacon, and crunchy pickles with golden onion rings, crispy onions, and sweet and smoky barbecue sauce. A smaller taste of oniony deliciousness available in a Whopper Junior version too. Making a meal with our cheesy tots and a refreshing mango peach lemonade. Get yours today at BK in Tumon Bay, Hagåtña, Micronesia Mall, and the airport, only at BK. You rule.
The new and improved Chili's 3 for Me deal is here. Starting at $12.99, get a drink, an appetizer, and an entree. You heard right. You can get a Coke, chips and salsa, and an old timer with cheese for only $12.99. Only at Chili's. Great food and value happen here.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
You can do more than pay your bill online. With paygpa.com and our mobile app, you can manage your account, set up autopay, and go paperless. Anytime, anywhere.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Sign up for GPA Power Alerts to get outage updates sent directly to your phone or inbox. Simply text ENROLL to 1-855-252-9998 and stay connected.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
Hafa Adai at Wave 105 FM. We want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important to our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to chime in, we welcome it. We welcome all points of view, all thoughts, all perspectives. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. If that line is busy, then call us at 922-1052. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening to Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
We're excited to announce that we're hiring for a variety of positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Foremost, Chili's, Glimpses of Guam, Subway, Good to Go, and Cinnabon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career, there's something here for everyone. Explore current opportunities and apply today at applynowguam.com. Your next great opportunity is just a click away.
Hafa Adai, Guawasi, Pauly, Suba. Don't forget to catch the Brightside every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the Brightside on Wave 105.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Oh, heck yeah. Now you want...
Where we at?
It's the kind of music that I like listening to. So, I don't know who this is, but this sounds like an old 80s jam.
Yeah, okay. Warming
like
up.
When I'm going to a party, somebody's house on a Saturday night.
get it,
The
Pauly.
whole party, yeah. The
What?
DJ.
Hey.
Like the DJs were all playing this
Nice. Okay.
this beat or whatever.
All right,
Who
Teddy
is this?
Teddy Swims.
Ah, okay.
Right.
He's sampling this though.
Yes, he did. He did.
He's sampling
We
this.
stole it. We stole it. Teddy Swims for you, man.
All
No
right,
worries, no
4:20 in the afternoon. Let's do this because Mike, the sports guy, has been on hold for quite some time, right? So we want to get Mike, the sports guy, in. And what do you got, my friend? I missed the football game today.
Well, first and foremost, it's so funny that you want to start off with football. I wanted to, and this is one thing I never got a chance to talk about last week or earlier this week.
Okay.
But we lost one of the premier coaches on island who coached both football and varsity league, Mr. Lauren Cruz. And the only reason why I bring him up is because he was one of my teachers when I was going to GW as a student there. So we got to give a little credit to him because he was the first coach that had he was the one that started a dynasty at GW first before any of the current dynasties in the boys football league started. And then when he wasn't coaching high school, he went on to coach in the I think it was the Pepsi League with the Pepsi Giants.
Okay.
And so but besides that, he was also back in the day he graduated from the OG. This is what I just found out yesterday when I went to his viewing and his funeral. He graduated from the OG for one, with a degree in physical education, but he also played football for UOG. So he was one of them bad boys that played back in the day in the early 70s for UOG.
Wow.
Now, yeah. So I wanted to give a shout out to him and let him know that, Coach, we are thinking of you and we miss you.
Condolences.
Not just from me, but all the other students who had him and some of his former players who learned from him and made them some of the guys that they are today. But other than that, if we're talking about football.
Yeah, sorry. For whatever reason, I thought it was Friday, but it's I got all messed up because Thursday night football, right? But it's not. But it's Friday morning for us.
Well, we gotta wait until tomorrow to talk about that, and which I'll call back later on to talk about that. But on the local scene, tonight in middle school basketball, it's number 1 against number 2, in which it's the number 1 Bishop Obispos facing off against the defending champion St. John Knights.
Okay.
And that's going to be a clash for the ages in middle school girls basketball, because the winner of that is, well, they're going to see who's going to be who will be the number 1 seed going into the home stretch of the season and all, and also who's going to host the middle school playoff tournament. So that's the game to watch tonight.
Do you
other
think
than that,
do you think it's going to be those same 2 teams in the championship, regardless?
I don't know, because
who else has a shot?
Well, here's the thing: St. John's lost to Mount Carmel, who's the sleeper of this year's league.
Okay.
In which they beat them by 1 point, 7-6. Yeah, that was the actual score, Pauly. I freaked out when I found out about it. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then when Mount Carmel came to Bishop with like 10 or 15 seconds left in the game, they sunk a 3 to win, to close out the game and win it. And they were down by like about either 2 or 1 point at the time.
So it's competitive.
So right now, those to me, I think those are the 3 teams you got to listen and watch out for.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, St. John's is the defending champs. Mount Carmel's the sleeper of the league right now, and of course, you never count out them Baumgartner or Obispos.
Right.
So
no.
That's all.
Absolutely.
That's all I got to say on that. Now on the national level, WNBA is just about finishing up. I think they're on the. I don't know if they're on the final 4 teams yet, but from what I saw, it looks like playoffs have started, and so yeah. Other than that, in college football, the U is back, baby. That's all I got to say. The U is back. And they've right now they're still one of the undefeated teams in college football. And I was looking at the schedule for this upcoming weekend, and I couldn't look at it that well, but because I got distracted with something else.
Okay.
But at the same time, when I get back to you tomorrow on what happened on the Thursday night game back there,
okay.
I'll hit you up on which games are the ones to watch this weekend.
All right, please
and
do.
And I got to give a little shout out to your Niners.
Yes,
they're still undefeated.
We lost Nick Bosa though.
Which would you rather have, undefeation right now or Nick Bosa?
Nick Bosa. I'm okay.
I wanted to hear what you had to say. I know Dice is foaming at the mouth in the background. I could just feel it because I know she's.
Because
when she found out I was a Raider fan, she's like, "What?"
So I mean, it's great that we're 3-0, but I'm worried moving forward without people like George Kittle, like Nick Bosa. You know, we're just losing people. I mean, Brock Purdy. It looks like he'll be coming back soon, but I mean, I'm not hating on Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones, but we need we need our heavy hitters on our defensive side because I don't know how much longer we can hold on when we keep losing players, and we're not getting players back either. Like Brandon Ayuk is not coming back anytime soon either.
Well, like I tell people all the time, that's why they play the games, and you, me, and Dice don't keep talking about it all the time.
There you go. I appreciate you, Mike, the sports guy. Thank you so much.
Anytime, my friend.
Right.
Also, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, it is Talafofo Fiesta this weekend. Viva San Miguel.
That's right. Is it Talafofo? I thought it's Zonia. I thought it's Zonia this weekend.
It's Talafofo Fiesta this weekend.
Okay.
And then next week on Wednesday is Mangitan Manila. Then next Friday is Viva San Francisco.
Wow, I can't even keep up. That's why I'm.
And
so
then the following weekend, if memory serves me right, that may be Umapex Fiesta.
I'm not even.
So there you go, buddy.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate this.
Anytime.
All right. Take care. All right. Hey, Dice, which one do you want? Do you want Cherry Coke or Sprite Zero?
Well, I can be your producer anytime.
Sprite Zero.
They got perks here. They got perks.
Rick brought it.
Nice. Okay.
Cherry Coke or Sprite
dog.
Zero?
No, Sprite Zero.
That's the one you want? Okay.
Sprite Zero. Thank you
I was
so
using
much.
my Jedi powers. I was like, don't say Coke. Don't say Cherry Coke.
I wouldn't do it.
Don't say Cherry Coke.
I wouldn't do that to you, man.
There you go. These are not the drones you're looking for. Charlie Hermosa's on the line. Can we get Charlie on? Yeah. Yes. Charlie sent me something that's actually pretty concerning. And so he says we have a serious crisis, and sharing some of the information on these graphics that he forwarded over. It says Guam orphans year 2020 247, and now in 2025 we have 725. That means 1 out of 70 kids in Guam are orphans. And so Charlie, thank you for sending this over. And so how did you come about this information? And so what are you concerned about? I mean, looking at the numbers, everyone should be concerned.
No, absolutely. And thank you so much, Pauly and Dice. Dice is probably the hardest working.
Dice is living, breathing, dreaming radio. Like, what is going on here?
Team players.
And you listening to Dice, I feel guilty because I'm not even matching Dice's energy. And Dice has been here since 5 a.m.
I hear you. You gotta put a little napping area somewhere around there.
I gotta at least get up to 80% when Dice is at 100, and Dice is on like what hour 14 at this point.
Yes.
What the heck is going on
That's
here?
crazy.
You're
That's
almost,
crazy. But
you're almost at 12.
Almost at 12?
Yeah. In
Nice.
30 minutes you'll be at 12 hours. But yeah, Charlie, when I'm looking at these graphics, this is very concerning. And I've seen some of these numbers, but I haven't seen the numbers the way that they've been laid out, because now they're just staring right at me, especially as you break them down by ethnicity and whatnot, and looking at tomorrow children are the most at 471, and just that number, it really. It's sobering to see the number 1 out of 70 kids are orphans in Guam.
No, absolutely, and it really took me. I had to pause, and this came about, Pauly, because I have the privilege and honor of participate in the pink ball, and as a board member there, and one of the recipients for the money that we raise is Harvest House. So we went over to provide them and give them the donation from the fund, from the gala event that we had, and we had been talking about numbers because where I try to use data as a foundation to be able to have a good discussion, right?
Absolutely.
So, I had previously asked, if they could look at the numbers, and even themselves, they came back to like, you know what, we've never looked at them this way, and it's eye-opening. I mean, it's you got to take a second to digest the numbers. So when they presented the numbers to me, I couldn't believe them. I could not believe them. Pauly, I honestly, yesterday evening, my day was like just torn because I was going to write an editorial. I may be good at some stuff, but like graphics and marketing is not my thing. So you could see, like, I use Canva, to to put these numbers, the 2020 and 2025. But I wanted to make sure that we laid them out in a way that people can see them right in your face.
Right.
And they were really overwhelming. And, I asked Harvest House, I said, how are you continuing the mission? They're like, we have no other choice.
Right.
When they call us in the middle of the night, we have to respond. And so we bring in kids that are being taken away from their homes for some reason, whether their parents just went to jail, or might have overdosed, gone to the hospital, so many different things that has happened. They take in the kids, they bathe them. The stories are just endless. It would absolutely just break your heart. The recent story of a 4-year-old girl taking care of her 1-year-old brother, right? Left home alone. This is here on Guam. These are not like stories anywhere off island. These things are happening here on Guam. And so when we looked at, and when they digested the number even further, I wanted to compare them to the national. Like, what does the national average look like? And we are the worst. 1 out of 70 kids are orphans. And it doesn't seem to, like, there's no change. Like, there's no leveling out. There's no decline in 2023, 2024. This thing is skyrocketing. As you can see from 2020 all the way to 2025, it's unbelievable, and it's not stopping.
I would say
it's not.
That I don't even think it. When I left the island in 2003, I don't. Maybe I just was not looking at it, but I don't even think we were anywhere near 247 in 2003, and so this happened in our lifetime.
Right. No. Back to 2000. When you look at the numbers, I mean, they skyrocketed, right? I mean, we can frame them up between 20. We started seeing an uptick in 2018, where we started crossing the 130, 140 threshold. Between 2020 and 2025, we are skyrocketing, and there's no leveling out. Like, and the resources of primarily, let's say, Harvest House. Unfortunately, the government doesn't have the ability to take these kids in, right? They look to these organizations for them to be able to give them a bath, be able to give them clothes, a warm meal. Some of these children hadn't eaten in days. And so like my focus, obviously it's always on, kids, students, workforce development. And these kids are part of this. Like, we cannot leave them behind. We have to do something about this. I'm going to redirect my efforts, my force to be able to look at this and wave the red flag, white flag, whatever flag of defeat that you want to wave. We got to start. We got to start doing this. And Harvest House really needs more help. And really, we need to understand exactly what it is that we can do to kind of just level out, like stop the bleeding right now. Like, what do we do to make sure that we at least stop what's going on? Because obviously, I've had other feedback from folks that have gone through the process. There's things wrong with the process. We can all, obviously we can all go down that pipeline as well. But right now, we need to make sure that somehow we stop this bleeding.
Understood. Yeah, when I'm looking at their Facebook account, their mission: adopt, foster, volunteer, donate, educate. I mean, this is all their role to assist the community, especially when it comes to children that need even just a place to sleep for the night until they until they figure it out with the family or with the court system or whatnot. And so I know that they do the recruiting as well for if you're not able to even foster a child, you can at least be an emergency contact. So,
correct.
Like you mentioned, if something happens in their house at 2 a.m, they can call on people like ourselves, people that are listening to this show. If you get on the rolls, they can call you, and you can be the home that they can at least rest until they figure some things out. And then we can always look into how to further support as a foster parent. But yeah, that's one way to look at it as well. But I appreciate you sharing these numbers.
Yeah, no, if you could, Pauly, I mean, if you could, spread those numbers to the powers that be, if you can send them up all the way up to, I don't know, Crystal and the governor. But I mean, we really need to address this. Like, I'm even going to put the hospital to the side right now. I'm gonna put GMH to the side right now. And I want to concentrate on this. I think that this is a crisis. This is an emergency. We need to make sure that we get a better handle on what's going on. I mean, obviously, we have some ideas because of, obviously, we do have the records as far as what's going on with the parents being taken away. And so we know exactly the storyline behind each children. So, but we need to make sure that we address it. So I think it's time for us to really stand up. We always talk about, it takes a village to take care of everybody, raise everybody. Right. So now it's really, I mean, if you look at those numbers, I mean, I showed them to some different communities, and, even like the Filipino community, they were like, oh my gosh, we have they have a few numbers there as well.
Right.
And then they work down. We have a couple of Russian orphans. Right. And so, again, I think this is very alarming, but the number one, I mean, it's over 400 plus or tomorrow. I mean, we got to do something. We really do have to do something. So if you could just spread the word, I really just want to get those numbers out there to anybody that wants to listen, the powers that be, up to government. We really need to do something.
Absolutely. When I'm looking at the other graphic that you shared, 725 foster children in Guam, and when we look at the shelters, there's only 12.2%. Is that how many are in the system?
Correct.
Or is that
correct?
Yeah, okay. So the 12.2% of foster children are in shelters, 21.3% in licensed family, and then they're really relying on relatives at 66.5%, which makes a lot of sense, but still at the same time, if we can get that licensed family number up too, that'll help, and that emergency contact roll up too.
Right. No, absolutely. So I really do appreciate you giving me the time to put this out there.
Well, let me know too when you any more call to action when you start putting the plan down, and we'll start activating as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate
Thanks,
you always.
Thanks,
Take
Pauly.
care.
Get them rest, guys. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Four-
Okay. Thank you.
4:39 in the afternoon. We'll take the break in the 4 o'clock hour. I know John was trying to call in. If John, now's a good time to call. If you're still available, feel free. 671-922-1051. We'll take the break.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean, and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Mission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
Thanks to you and our community, the American Red Cross continues to make an impact, training thousands in life-saving skills because of your support. Lives are changed every day. This message of gratitude is brought to you by our diamond sponsors, First Hawaiian Bank, Mobile Oil Guam, and Blue Bay Petroleum, and our platinum sponsors, Bank of Hawaii, ASC Trust, and Bank of Guam. From everyone at the American Red Cross, thank you for standing with us. To learn more, visit redcross.org. Your support saves lives.
Alrighty, Guam, Hafa Adai, good afternoon. Hitting the streets once again for your Real Deal traffic report. It is being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, where you can schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO or check out our inventory on our website at guamautospot.com. And mobile gas stations, be sure to download our app today and you can save on exclusive fuel coupons and visit our website at mobile.guam.com. We're going to go ahead and cruise around the streets of Guam. We got north and both southbound traffic. Heads up, guys, coming up and around the Governor's Complex, north and southbound, and it's going all the way down towards Day by Day this afternoon. And for those of you getting around Hagåtña, we got even stronger delays outside of the Superior Court of Guam or hopping onto East O'Brien Drive. Route 8, that's going to be Mongmong to Mighty, traffic flowing around the Barragata Fire Station or at the Happy Mart as well as Crown Bakery intersection, north and both southbound traffic there. And in Mangilau, that's going to be Route 10 this afternoon. Getting around FD or the University of Guam, you'll even find stronger delays. 4 o'clock rush hour. 5, we're moving a lot quicker this afternoon, so please keep your eyes on the roads. Allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you. Remember, Guam, seatbelts are sexy. This is your Real Deal traffic report, and it's all being brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot and mobile gas stations.
It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and base-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
Nothing but the best. Wave 105 FM.
Okay, now I'm irritated. Now I'm just irritated.
Oh, you don't like Mike? Which is it? Is it Mike or Phil? Mike or Phil? Mike or Phil?
There's why is there a need to sample like just play the original?
I cannot with you, Pauly. He's like dice.
Phil Collins is still doing his thing.
He is.
And Air Tonight, the original. You don't need to mess with that one. You don't need to mess with that.
I'm dead. I cannot, dude.
There's no reason. You have no reason.
He said, "Stop touching that."
You know when the one that upset me the most was when who's that? I even like them. Now I'm forgetting the name of that group.
Come on.
When they did the whole cover, when they were doing like TLC Waterfall or no, I Don't Want No Scrub. Who was that? Weezer? When Weezer,
I didn't hear that one.
When they covered like random pop songs, I'm like, are you kidding me? Weezer. You should look it up.
I gotta do some homework.
No Scrubs.
No, they didn't.
Weezer covered No Scrubs.
No.
And they put an album out, too.
No, I didn't know
They
that.
put a whole album out
I had no
on
idea.
trash songs.
Weezer.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta do
Weezer's good. Don't get me wrong. I love
But
Island in the Sun.
Yeah, but TLC,
I love their
though.
tracks.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Weezer doing a
No,
TLC. No Scrubs. That's the jam.
That is a jam. That's a
Nobody asked for it, Weezer. Nobody asked.
Leave it alone.
I want a TLC song redone by Weezer. Nobody said that. Nobody said that.
For sure, I'll take it.
4:45 in the afternoon.
We got John?
somebody?
We got John.
Okay. Hafa Adai, John. John, you're on the air.
Hello, yes.
Hafa Adai.
Hey, Hafa Adai. So every day, the topic is about the drugs on our island.
Okay.
So, like every day, I watch the news back in the mainland, state to state, they're taking out all these drug cartels and making the United States a better place.
Okay.
And here we are. We got this small island, right? And why can't it be done here? It should be easy to take it out because it's really ruining our island. A lot of crime, everything, and it should be a safe place for our younger generations. So I'm wondering, why is it so hard to set up a team here? Like how they set up back there, and they go and take out all these main. Why can't they do that here and take out all these people that's dealing these things out? Because man, when I go around, I went to my village, and man, there's minors doing the drugs, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I haven't been there for a while. When I went there, there people 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, doing that. And I was like, wow.
I feel you. Yeah, no, I mean, so I see what you're seeing in the media too. And I wouldn't say that that's being completely eradicated in the continental U.S. either. It isn't it. Drugs are an issue all over the world, right? And so why are people selling drugs? They are selling drugs because they're making money off of it. It's a lucrative business. Unfortunately, people are dying.
Yeah.
So anybody that is involved you're just plain out wrong. And so for us in this community, we just have to call it out, and we have to not be afraid to call the cops. If it's your mother, if it's your father, if it's your brother, if it's your sister, it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah. With that said, too, there's always, I believe in second chances and third chances, and so I believe.
Yes, of course. I believe people can change.
Yes, absolutely.
The problem is this doctor on Guam. He's pretty known. I don't know if you know him, Dr. Kalingo.
I know of him. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he brought up something to when he went to, I think, the senators or whatever, some kind of meeting, that so if someone commits a crime, so let's give him this sentence, let's say 5 years, right? And if he completes this sentence, let's say half of that, 2.5 years, with no incident, nothing, no problems while he's doing his time, they'll give him an early release. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that gives them hope to when they're in there, they don't get in trouble, and it gives them hope.
Yeah.
Now the ones that mess up, they do the full time, and that right there saves the government a lot of money because of the cost per inmate a day is pretty high. If that will save a lot of money, and then they can use that money to do other things like to stop these for drugs or whatever, rehabilitation for people that get out.
Yeah, I would say the penalty just needs to fit the crime, right? And so for drug dealers, I think we absolutely have to hold them accountable and they need to serve their time. If they get out for good, good behavior, then so be it. But they cannot be slap on the wrist. What do you call it? Sentences. If you're dealing drugs, people are dying, and so you are directly involved in the death of our people, and so
it's killing our people. That's the so like for those people, whatever sentence they get, the maximum, they just do it for the ones that's dealing like that, because it's really messing up our island here, or even all our younger generations coming up. Be seeing kids doing that, like they're selling it to kids.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. Yeah,
and I think that should be like, because I'm pretty sure that on this island it's not that big. I'm pretty sure if they put a focus on that, to really go out there and get them and to stop it.
Well, apparently we're waiting on this Maulik policy, right? And so I don't know where we are with it, but that's a law already, and it's supposed to be activated when we have a shortage of police officers out on the field. And I believe we do have a shortage of police officers. So it's supposed to be activated, and they're supposed to bring in some other or some other law enforcement officers with whether it be at customs, whether it be at the Guam Airport police. They're supposed to come on board and join GPD and to allow a task force, this Maulik task force, to address drug interdiction. But even without the Maulik program, I would say we need to continue to give the resources to GPD and allow them to do their investigations. The FBI gets involved and whatnot. DEA gets involved too. And so it is a lucrative business. People are going to continue to do it because they are making money easily, like quickly, fast.
Yeah.
And so, but however, if you get caught, then it can't just be a slap on the wrist. They need to be serving at least 10 years, at least.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
All right, John, I appreciate you. Okay. Take care. And so, I see where John's coming from. I see he's talking about that there are these big drug busts in the U.S., but they haven't eradicated it either. They haven't fully, arrested all that, all the cartels. Because let's be honest, when you take one out, another one pops up. And I'm realistic too. It's not going to go away as long as people are greedy, people are wanting to get rich quick and are selfish, then it's not going to end. However, that doesn't mean we just roll over and let the drugs just take over this island. And I would say it has already taken over the island. It is an epidemic. And so just like how Charlie is talking about, we are in a crisis with orphans in Guam. I would say it relates to drugs too. It is very much, I see the connection between the two, for sure. 4:53 in the afternoon. I think also when I look at my dad, right? And so he's a very tough individual, right? His upbringing, it was a very tough upbringing. I believe that he carried it on when he became a police officer, because when I look at his brothers and sisters, I'm like, they're all tough.
Yeah.
So they're all tough and they're all strict. But they did their job and they took it seriously. And some could even argue that my dad might have taken his job too seriously, right? But I don't think that way. I think that he knew that the job is difficult, and he takes it seriously, and he really does want to take care of the problem. At the same time, he is one of the most compassionate people that I know. The second he arrests somebody, and random strangers have come up to me even before I was on radio. When they hear my name, they don't think of me, they think of Paul Suba. And so, which is not me. And when they're like, Paul Suba, who's that to you? Is that your dad? I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. I'm like, okay. The guy arrested me. Your dad arrested me. I'm like, oh no, where are we going with this? Now I'm looking for the nearest exit. And then they will say, the same guy that arrested me after he read my rights and he prayed for me. So he's one of the most compassionate people that I know, because the second he arrests you and he reads your rights, then arrests you, and he counsels you, and you're now in one of the worst moments in your life, right? Because now you have all of this confusion, all kinds of things going on in your head. What's going to happen now? My dad would take the time to be like, it's not the end of the world. And to be honest with you, what you need more in your life now than ever is God. And I can help you with that. And here's the thing too, is he got called out for that many times by his own colleagues. And I don't really want to put it all out there at this point, because he's still in the police force. But some of his closest people called him out for that. And I think what we need more is more God, more faith in our lives here in Guam. And to be honest with you, I'm not here to try to convert you to my religion. I being in the military, what I noticed too was that just faith, it doesn't matter. Whatever your faith is, it is the most powerful thing, because as long as it comes back around to salvation and love, you can't go wrong with that. People will be more motivated to improve their life, and then also want to be a good neighbor, want to not do bad things, not commit crimes. And so I'm not here to convert anybody, but I've seen it, I've watched it, I've experienced it for myself. And I think what we do need more is embrace faith more and not reject it. Not reject it and be like, oh, you can't talk about religion. I think more than ever today, we should be talking more about it and embracing it. Jesse's on the line. Hafa Adai, Jesse.
Hey, Pauly, you're right. If you're Pauly Suba thinking about your dad, you're right about that, man. And you know one thing about your dad, he can do he's not doing himself, as a chief. He can do police officer one order, That's just how the problem, you report writing everything, the cases, you take it. You just go, you just come and you do it right there.
Yeah.
And really, your dad is very aggressive, compassionate, person.
Yeah.
I'm talking about meth, you're right, man. There's a lot of meth epidemic. Yeah, they should activate the National Guard, because there's a lot of the they drive. Doesn't matter whether no car. They always say a no car is they always catch something in plain view. Despite for example, paraphernalia, those things when they pull them over, but not really even Lexus, people driving around you, Lexus.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have no job.
Oh.
They don't have no job. So I believe he's a kingpin or, or dealer.
Yeah. When it comes
There's a lot
to
of that, man. Hey,
when
you
it
know what? There's a lot of that, but I have to
when it comes to drugs, yeah, you'll be surprised who's involved and whatnot for sure.
Yeah.
I
you know
won't
what? Age don't matter, Pauly.
Yeah.
It could be from a minor.
Yeah.
Or a little after Manuko.
Yeah. No, for sure. But what I won't do is I'm, everybody is innocent until proven guilty, and so I won't be throwing out names, and I won't be.
No. You're right. You're correct on that. I got no say on that, but they take him in. Everything.
Yeah.
If the police just do their case right.
Yeah.
And now we got a lot of officers that are pretty sharp. High tech. And I didn't see that during my time. We don't we just write a report on the paper, but this time it's an iPad. So Pauly, I think we're on top of the hour, and
yes,
I'll probably call back.
Okay, Jesse, thank you so much for calling in.
Okay,
Senor Adjust, 5:01 in the afternoon. And so again, I don't, we can all, yes, our GPD, they need more resources. We need to continue to support them, and we do need to do more. We're not going to solve this issue, and I would say, small towns too. Small towns haven't figured it out either. And so as the world continues to have so many problems and we're not able to solve them, I just fall back on my faith, because that's what keeps me sane. That's what allows me to overcome all of these challenges and overwhelming issues. And so I think that's why. Why do you think that DOC but welcomes all faiths, all religions in? Because they know, they get it, that is going to help them transform their life. An organization like the military they have military officers in the military, in uniform, and they're representing different faiths because they understand the power of faith and how it affects humans, how it helps transform or bring them out of whatever issue that they're facing. 5:03 in the afternoon. We'll take the break. We haven't even touched the GMH, so we'll start playing some of that. Unless you have something else, feel free to call 671-922-1051 or 1052.
Deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility.
We're going to look at all of our security posture more thoroughly now.
Family of D.C. plane crash victim sues.
Their lives will never, ever be the same.
Jimmy Kimmel's first night back after suspension.
He was contrite without being obsequious, and he was defiant without being strident.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. One detainee has been killed and two others are critically injured in a shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons tells CBS News the shooter opened fire from a roof onto the ICE location.
The shooter fired indiscriminately into vehicles. The detainees were in the vehicle at the time. They weren't outside. There was no way he could have known detainees were in there.
Lyons says the suspect, who he identifies as Joshua John, took his own life. KRLD's Alan Skaya.
People had started showing up for appointments when they say they heard gunshots. One guy took video of him and his family ducking into their car. Another was staying at a hotel across the freeway and says he heard about 10 seconds between each shot.
He was
targeting and zeroing in and then shooting.
The FBI says the gunman killed himself, calling this targeted violence. Director Kash Patel says the shell casing had anti-ice written on it. Alan Skaya for CBS News, Dallas.
President Trump says the violence is, quote, the result of the radical left Democrats constantly demonizing law enforcement. The family of a victim in the deadly Washington, D.C. plane crash earlier this year is suing American Airlines, the FAA, and the
The widow of Casey Crafton from Connecticut, Rachel, who was raising 3 boys, filed the lawsuit. Daley Crafton is the victim's brother and read a statement from her.
Because of this avoidable tragedy, my young sons and I have to go through life without the love, support, guidance, and laughter Casey gave to us.
Attorney Bob Clifford says they're seeking airline and government changes.
The FAA allowed this environment to exist, knowing that there was massive congestion and these number of near misses.
Matt Piper, CBS News.
Despite a blackout by 2 major TV station owners, ABC says nearly 6.3 million people watched the Jimmy Kimmel Live broadcast last night, and more than 26 million people watched Kimmel on social media as he defended free speech and took jabs at FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. Typically, he gets almost 2 million viewers each night on TV. ABC affiliate owners Sinclair and Nexstar are not airing the show after Kimmel was suspended over comments connected to Charlie Kirk's murder. Variety's Brian Steinberg.
There are discussions going on. I'm not sure how long Sinclair and Nexstar can do a preemption of a single show without some other basis like a local disaster or news event to make it being so. They have contracts in place that are supposed to be honored.
Tropical storm Humberto forms in the Atlantic Ocean and takes aim at the Azores. Now this.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Democrats say they've drawn a line in the sand over the possibility of a government shutdown next week and want a funding deal in writing. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries.
If the government shuts down, it will shut down because Donald Trump and Republicans in the House and the Senate have made that decision to intentionally inflict pain on the American people.
President Trump says on social media the Democrats in Congress seem to have totally lost their way and the ball is in their court. The 4 astronauts set to venture around the moon on Artemis II share an update on their first crewed NASA mission aimed at eventually establishing a long-term presence at the moon. Mission Commander Reed Weissman.
I know this week NASA has said that we're going to open the launch window in early February, and we just do not anchor on dates. We are going to launch when this vehicle is ready, when this team is ready, and we are going to go execute this mission to the best of our abilities.
White House official says President Trump tomorrow is expected to sign a deal to keep TikTok operating in the U.S. You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Good afternoon. You are tuned in to the Brightside with Pauly, Suba here on the Wave 105 FM. We have 9 minutes after 5 o'clock right now, and the show is being brought to you by Chili's Grill and Bar, the Code School of Guam, GTA, we start with you, Micro Pack, open at our Tamuning and mall locations, Sentinel Security Solutions, Sherwin-Williams Paints, and Subway, Eat Fresh. It's time for your local headlines for you right now with Skylar Obispo from the Marianas Business Journal and the Guam Business Magazine, brought to you by our friends at McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. Philippine Airlines will launch 3 flights a week between Guam and Cebu. Senator Jesse Lujan, chairman of the 38th Guam Legislature's Committee on Transportation, Tourism and Customs, Utilities, and Federal and Foreign Affairs, told the Journal that the new flight is part of an ongoing discussion on a possible visa waiver program for Filipino tourists. In addition, the inclusion of flight incentives in the fiscal year 2026 GovGuam budget was also a priority. Lujan highlighted that tourism is a part of the foundation of Guam's economy and that action needs to be taken with urgency to avoid losing the revenue stream permanently. In more news, Inalahan Middle School has passed its annual public health inspection with a rating of B, a big achievement from last year's C rating according to the Guam Department of Education. IMS received 18 demerits this year versus 32 from the year prior. GDOE says that due to the hard work of the school's staff and the help of the Inalahan Mayor's Office, the school is fully prepared for the school year ahead. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, the Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
Hafa Adai Guam, Landon Idlet here from the National Weather Service and with the Guam Power Authority. National Preparedness Month is here, and preparedness starts at home. Does your preparedness kit have water, food, flashlights, first aid, spam, and some snacks for the kids? Great! Now lend a hand, check in with a neighbor, especially our Banamku, and make sure their kit is ready too. Preparedness is for the family and it starts at home. NWS and GPA preparing Guam together. For more tips, visit ghs.guam.gov and follow GPA on Facebook and on Instagram.
The new and improved Chili's 3 for Me deal is here. Starting at $12.99, get a drink, an appetizer, and an entree. You heard right. You can get a Coke, chips and salsa, and an old timer with cheese for only $12.99. Only at Chili's. Great food and value happen here.
Alrighty, guys, your last look at this afternoon's Real Deal Traffic Report brought to you by Guam Auto Spot, where you could schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO or check out our inventory on our website at guamautospot.com. And mobile gas stations, be sure to download our app today and you can save on exclusive fuel coupons. We're looking at traffic right now in Barrigada. We got north and both southbound coming up and around the Crown Bakery 76 Circle K intersection around the Barrigada Fire Station, and it kind of works its way down towards Payless in Mighty. Both north and southbound traffic there. In Hagåtña, traffic is also busy in Hagåtña, and it kind of works its way around the Governor's Complex towards Petey and getting around Asen this afternoon. We are at the 5 o'clock rush hour, and that is exactly what's happening on the streets of Guam. We would like to remind the motorists to please watch your speed limit. Eyes on the roads, not on the phones. No texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Remember, guys, seatbelts are sexy. Make sure that your seatbelt is fastened and that our kids are strapped safely in the proper booster and car seats. Your Real Deal Traffic Report, and it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot and mobile gas stations.
It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
The talk you want to hear. Wave 105 FM.
Just the way it is. Things will never be the same.
Okay, this one's classy.
Yeah?
This is a classy remake or sample, yeah.
It's all right?
Yeah, because of course I'm not going to get mad at Tupac.
Okay, all right. Woo!
I'm not going to be upset if Tupac's going to sample a song. Actually, he makes this song cooler.
I think
the song is more cool.
You like that? Yeah. All right, we're good.
All right, let's do this. So GMH, there was that oversight hearing that happened today, right? Yes. This morning, discussing vendor payments, capital improvement projects, IT system upgrades, medical supplies, cost containment initiatives, safety protocols. $40 million was given to GMH, right? And so for what? Why did we give them $40 million? When I look at the bill that the governor sent down, why don't I have it anymore? Oh, what was I doing this entire break? Why didn't I? Okay, here it is. So the governor sends down the $40 million to appropriate $40 million from the general fund to DOA to fund GMH Authority's capital improvement projects, including its electrical system and operational costs and supplies. So the only thing here, when you see what the $40 million is going to be for, the only one in detail is electrical system. Everything else is kind of vague, right? So when I saw this for the first time, this $40 million would replace the electrical system. That's what, I mean, I'm just being honest. That's what I thought. I mean, especially when they had an electrical fire, I'm like, okay, they're solving this issue. And then when we watch, it's $5 million going to the electrical panel. And so when I look at what Yuka Hechanova was saying to Senator Sabrina Salas-Matanani, GMH will receive $10 million on September 30. First of all, they already got the 1.3 from DOA. DOA is processing payments right now for health insurance premiums, withholding taxes, and GPA, about $14.3 million. Expected to be paid today or tomorrow. Then September 30, GMH will receive $10 million. Accounting is preparing vendor payment, so checks can go out as soon as it hits. And then another $7.5 million on October 15. And then the remaining is $6.8 on October 30. Oh, and then $5 million for IT, and then $5 million for the electrical panel. And so when you listen to Senator Sean Gumatautau, then Senator Tony Ada, just asks plainly about what happens if the electrical panel goes down. There's no other option. They will close. Senator Jesse Lujan asks, too. Is Vince on the line? Okay. So we'll just take Vince. I'd rather take Vince than play these audio files anyways, but either one is good. Vince, Hafa Adai.
Hafa Adai, sir.
Hafa Adai.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sounds like you were watching the oversight hearing at the hospital, as was many people, but I think since it's only now 5 o'clock, it'll be great if they get to see the audio files, I guess, on the legislative channel.
Yeah. I'll play them.
Yeah, I think it'll be important, but if before you do so, if we could just maybe just focus, because there was a lot of very disappointing behavior by the Guam Memorial Hospital administration, which really is under the gun to explain why they haven't yet even begun, apparently, to fix the electrical panel at the hospital, which has caused so many fires that have threatened the lives of the sick children and the hardworking staff there. I mean, it's a dangerous hospital environment that everyone acknowledges is terrible. It's an imminent threat to life. But hearing the government officials speaking, it was. I'm just very concerned about how this is all going to end up, and so I'm encouraging all your listeners to watch it for themselves.
Yeah.
But in the end, what I think they have to ask themselves is, are these the people that you're going to leave in charge of your safety? Are these the people that you're going to trust to do the right thing when life or death issues are at stake? Because they don't seem to have any sense of urgency. Did you get that? You were watching the same thing.
So the $40 million isn't going to address the electrical panel. I mean, they'll take $5 million from that, and clearly they're saying they need more, right? $20 million to replace.
Well, hold on. Again, they're dictating the narrative, right? The financial officer there, Ms. Hechanova, admitted she's the one who's choosing who to pay first. So when you go shopping, right, and if all you buy is Captain Crunch and Apple Jacks, and your diabetic family, needs insulin, maybe you're not the right person to go shopping, right? I mean, this was like watching a 5-year-old going shopping for the whole family because they decided to pay for everything except the electrical panel, which is why they had this emergency in the first place.
Right.
I mean, at what point did that seem like a stupid idea? Particularly because you kind of had to pull teeth out of them to say that they hadn't even started to try to figure out how much it's going to cost. I mean, they took out some number, $5 million, and as it turned out, they got that money from the Guam Power Authority, who sent a team down there to help them. So it sounds like the people that are getting paid to work at the hospital to keep it safe haven't even started to seriously consider how they're going to design a solution for this electrical panel, which has caused now 4 fires at the hospital. And I'm not sure at what point we're supposed to be furious. At what point as citizens are we not supposed to look at this and go, this is a car crash?
Well, GMH says they must first get the existing plan recertified by an A&E. They can't proceed off on an obsolete plan. They reached out for a recertification pricing on August 26, anticipating the first step. They recently received the quote, and then Vice Speaker asked, well, when will they go out for an RFP? And GMH says if the current plan is recertified, procurement would roll out in phases. A separate hazard mitigation grant application is also going to be put out for the full electrical project at $17 million. The $5 million will only address the most urgent elements now.
Well, what they didn't say is they also took Labor Day off and spent $5 million at a barbecue down at Ipao Beach. So again, the governor of Guam, Lulian Guerrero, and the lieutenant governor of Guam, Josh Tenorio, were down at Ipao Beach while nobody was apparently up at the hospital worrying about the next fire. Nobody up at the hospital was up there worrying about the electrical panel exploding, except apparently Senator Duenas, who pointed out that electrical panel, one of the big problems with this, it's sitting right next to a big water tank that if the water tank fails, it's going to drown it.
Yeah, I heard that too.
There's a design issue that apparently has been known since 2019, right? So all that we're trying to do is refocus the people of Guam on the basics. All this gibberish about paying other vendors and doing that, yes, of course, that's important, but what they're also not telling you is that they keep making payroll every 2 weeks. That's their first priority. Then only when they have money will they pay the power bill or the retirement fund, which apparently they keep running out of money because payroll keeps killing them. Payroll keeps wiping them out. And so, of course, they're not going to pay for the electrical panel. It looks like they've been using the electrical panel as an excuse to keep going down to the legislature to keep asking for more money, because if they never fix it, then they're always going to need more money. I mean, again, it felt like at some point, I think it was Vince Bohr was starting to get suspicious that the Guam Memorial Hospital people, the administrators, they want that electrical panel to be dangerous because it's been making them a lot of money. We could talk about all the stuff that they're not paying, but we really have to come down to it is why aren't they fixing the electrical panel if that thing is so dangerous, as everybody agrees it is? Yeah. This is the 5th emergency meeting I think we've had as a community about GMH. At what point are we going to start pointing fingers at Lillian Posadas and Yuka Hechinova for being frauds?
Well, Mr.
They're lying to the people of Guam. They're saying that the electrical panel is their first priority. It's the reason why we need to give them $40 million. But then when you give them the $40 million, they don't fix the electrical panel.
Mr. Zaldi responded to, I believe, Senator Tony Atta and Senator Jesse Lujan straight up, right? And so that this electrical panel is at risk of failing any moment now, right? And would shut down the hospital. And Zaldi said yes.
Yeah, so at that point, Lillian Posadas needs to stand up in her last 12 days there and say, I have a plan for what to do with all these 200 sick people in the hospital and these little babies and these pregnant moms. I have a plan where to put them because I've let this electrical panel thing go on for so long. My entire time that I've been being paid $200,000 a year to be the CEO of GMH, the electrical panel has been failing. She lost accreditation. She's allowed the hospital to run, continuously into debt, and now she's leaving in 11 days with Zaldi sitting there with an electrical panel, which he says it's the choke point. If that thing goes down, the whole hospital goes down because there's no way to. There's no backup. There's no.
Well, one of them is the skilled nursing facility. What's the capacity there?
Let me tell you, 60 beds. Right now they have 35 beds being used, maybe only 30 because they don't have enough staff up there. That thing was built for 65 people. We currently have apparently 175 people at GMH right now, including people in the emergency room. The hospitals are full, and there's people on dialysis. There's people in ICUs. We don't have the capacity to take care of them up there, but we're going to have to make do because everyone in that meeting today admitted that the electrical panel it is the single point of failure. If it fails, the hospital has to be shut down. I mean, unless there's somebody else lying, unless there's somebody else not saying the truth, because you wouldn't think that your government would be so reckless as to put people in danger this long, because it's not just a matter of finding out yesterday that this is a problem. This has been going on since 2019, before the pandemic. You can't blame the pandemic. You can't blame Mawar. You can't blame anybody but the leadership at GMH, which includes Yuka Hechanova, Lillian Posadas, now Dr. Jolene Uggan. We name names because these people are getting very well paid, and they're taking credit for whatever little good is done. But that's the question that people want me to ask: is this what you're paying for? Is this why you pay your taxes? Is this okay? Because it's the only hospital where people can go to deliver babies right now. There's no choice. This is the only place you can put your sick children. This is the only pediatric ward on Guam. And so this urgency of questioning, because they have apparently no sense of urgency to fix the electrical panel.
Vice Speaker Tony Addis says that that's the issue, too, is when the $10 million was taken away from them, the ARPA money, that why didn't you fight harder?
Well, they got $30 million taken away from them by Adelup. Remember, they weren't spending it fast enough, so Adelup took away $35 million from them. Not $10 million. What $10 million are you talking about? Maybe there was more, but at the beginning of this year, the ineptitude, the incompetence of the Guam Memorial Hospital management lost $35 million in ARP money that could have gone towards fixing the electrical panel last year. The real question is, why didn't they start this last year?
Yeah, even Senator Therese Terlai brings it up, right? In 2019, she authored a law to set aside $10 million from excess funds when available with priorities, the electrical panel.
Oh, in 2019, I'm sorry. You're referencing things happened when the iPhone 7 came out.
Yes.
Right? This was 2019, so I'm sorry. I'm talking about just, when the iPhone 11 or 12.
Right, but that's why Senator Teresa, I think, because they said, oh, we've been asking for this, when Speaker Therese Terlai was the Speaker of the legislature, and then so when it was Senator Therese Terlai's turn to talk, she goes, yeah, we were appropriating money for you since 2019, specifically for the electrical panel. And here we are in 2025.
Yeah, and again, I've called you many times at this time of the day to ask the very same question, and usually you bring out Rand Kaufman to hypnotize me. But he's not available.
He's not here today. He's not here today. Tomorrow.
He's not going to save you today.
No,
sir.
He's not.
So here's the real, continuous question: is who's benefiting from all this terror? Well, you're supposed to follow the money, right? And there's been a lot of money given to GMH to fix the electrical panel. Lots and lots of money. It is now absolutely clear. It's $40 million sitting there, and the GMH administrators admitted today they weren't going to spend it on the electrical panel.
It's very clear that there were many opportunities to pay for this electrical panel.
So who benefits from this type of terroristic activity? Who at least with Hamas, right, and the other terrorists, you can see that they want a new independent state. They're trying to create their own country, or they're trying to kill the Jews. Who benefits from GMH being this bad for this long?
Definitely not the people of Guam.
and it's called the Guam Memorial Hospital. So that becomes then a lie, unless they're talking about Guam Memorial Hospital as a cemetery, Guam Memorial. So this is not funny. This is not okay. No one should feel comfortable about this. And then when they see their governor, Governor Lulian Guerrero, and their Lieutenant Governor Josh Snow, they need to ask them these questions, because how does anyone benefit from this going on and on? This is going into now Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2025. We have been talking about this all year.
Yeah.
Hospital has not gotten better, so somebody must be secretly doing well. There must be some pleasure being derived from this particular chaos. Don't you think? I mean, otherwise, no one's happy. I'm not happy.
I don't. So even when I
good for radio, it's great for your show. Everybody's listening now.
Well, watching too, I understand some of the challenges that they're facing, and they bring them up. But what is clear is, yes, I agree with what Senator Tony Ada was saying. Senator Chris Duenas as well, when he says it is not a money problem. Looking at when we're talking about funding an electrical panel, it is not a money problem. It is a management problem as it relates to GMHA and not getting their electrical panel fixed.
So then why don't they vote for the privatization of the management of the Guam Memorial Hospital, like Senator Therese Terlai brought up? Why don't Senator Duenas and his colleagues call for the downsizing of the payroll at GMH, which is, I'm pretty sure, what the governor is trying to get them to do, so that they can commit supposedly political suicide by pointing out that GMH does not need 1,500 employees, just like DOE doesn't have any more. It doesn't need to have schools for 10,000 students, because we only have 8,000 students now, or whatever the number is. Right? There's been a
21,000 now.
There's been an incredible decrease or exodus of students out of DOE, and there's been incredible influx of employees into a hospital, which is failing, which is dangerous, which is dirty. We thank Senator Parkinson for doing some Wikipedia research last night. He pointed out that GMH is the most dangerous hospital for septicemia in the nation, and there's no competition. He says that he basically said GMH is a dirty hospital, and it's killing people with sepsis. It's blood poisoning them. He said these are hospital-associated infections, and no one denied it. He really nailed it on the head, but what the GMH administrators refused to do is say sorry, and they didn't say how they were going to fix it, which I can tell you what the answer is. They would get accreditation. They would achieve Joint Commission accreditation, which would enforce the cleanliness and patient safety standards of an American hospital. But Lillian Posadas, as the administrator, has admitted many times that GMH would fail because it's not clean, it's not safe. And she says we have no choice but to use it. And I really think that that's a disservice to the people of Guam. We do have a choice, and it's very sad that that choice is being denied to the people of Guam.
Melanie Mendiola brought up there's a resolution that they haven't voted on yet, but she's looking at them to.
Melanie Mendiola looks like she has dementia. I mean, she was moving in ultra slow motion. I mean, my phone does that once in a while when I can't understand people talking. But she was talking really, really slow, like she really was kind of making up stuff as she went along. She apparently knows how to write size government agencies, but she apparently doesn't know how to deal with an emergency. So she and her board spent all of last night saying goodbye to Lillian Posadas instead of addressing the electrical panel or issuing an RFP. I mean, Melanie Mendiola apparently has become the face of the Guam Memorial Hospital, and she looks like she has Alzheimer's disease.
Okay. Well, thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Take care. 5:33 in the afternoon. Somebody else on the line, or do you want to take the Magodai? Hafa Adai.
Magodai?
Hafa Adai.
Hafa Adai.
Hafa Adai, Pauly.
Biba Webes.
I was going to step up because I get tomorrow. I'll say it in English. Anyway, the reason why I'm calling in is because, in this electrical panel, right, just like plumbing also or maintenance work, they should have a PMI every 3 to 6 months for checking everything, right? Inspection. Now, my husband was referred to the VA to Guam Regional Hospital. And what happened was he has an appointment there for his CAT scan, right, for his brain. So the electrical triggered through right next to the sprinkler. The electrical, I don't know where it came from, but it triggered and then the water sprinkler went on, and he was right above that machine. I mean, he was still on that machine. So everything was dark and black smoke inside. The technician were trying to reach him out, but they couldn't really reach him out because it was too dark and lot of loud banging sound. People heard that, and people were running out. Now, the thing is that when I was reading the news, like 2 days, 3 days after that, they said there was a fire in, shortage of whatever causes electrical at Guam Regional. But they didn't mention that there was a patient in there. Now, it was so sad because even my husband right now is encountering, like his face on and off, it peeled off. And, they keep denying him for that. So, I have the disc, and I also have the report that was done on him at Guam Regional Hospital. And I still don't understand why that they're always saying something about Guam Memorial Hospital, but not Guam Regional Hospital. So, there must be something going on with them also, and they're not saying it. Just like what Dr. Akimoto was saying, something is really, really good, not right. So, to make it right, and let's do it better for the hospital, because, there's so many people going there for emergency, insurance coverage, and all this, and I still don't understand why there's not enough money, And people, and even at the Guam Regional Pauly, they were running down, even administration, people were running down from the Guam Regional Hospital. They were running down, and then when I came back, because I know how long I was going to be there for the CAT scan, they were running after me, and they said, your husband is in the ER. They said, what happened? They said there was a fire or electrical shortage on the right above him, and they're monitoring him now. And guess what, Pauly? He was asking to eat after that. Right after that, his appointment was scheduled 9 o'clock. But they didn't feed him ever since he was down at the ER for the whole day, and only they gave him just a sandwich, like a kid's sandwich, and a little orange juice, and that was it. So, all these inspections, they should have such a PMI or well done, whoever certified to do those work, because, sometimes, they can be hired to work, but they don't know the job. And we need a professional person to do the job. So let's make Guam Memorial Hospital to become a better hospital, because I was born there, and I like that hospital. And saying something about being dirty and all that, well, let's fix it and, let people hire people that can do the cleaning and services, and let's just make them do it right, the way it should be, And let's just stop this criticizing and all these things, how they say people about the hospitals or anywhere else. Let's fix it. Because let me tell you, Pauly, there was one, too, that I do know, like GCC, for example. Okay, I know someone that works there. And the person there was a plumber. And I guess he doesn't really do all much work because he doesn't really know that well. So what happened was the other person that knows how to do plumbing is the one that's doing the work outside. So he does all the work. So, things like that, it needs to be looked into, because having someone, a higher official, like a supervisor, does not know how to do the work, but the employee below that are the ones doing the work. So, be fair and be nice, and do whatever is best so that They can, monitor the employees, how professional they can do the work and how well they can do it, and just make it right. So that's all, Pauly, I want to say, because, God, is not saying anything too. And this has happened like 5 years ago. And, they're not saying anything about shortage of electrical also there at their hospital.
Understood. Plenty of accountability to go around. Thank you, Senora Magodai. Appreciate it. Take care. Adios.
Yeah, duh.
5:39 in the afternoon. We'll take our break. Rolling with Dice are going on over 12 hours. Living, breathing, sleeping, dreaming radio. Wave 105.
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every Friday evening. Join Rand and Jenny Kaufman for The Edge of Heaven, a talk show to take you to the fifth dimension where you find out who you are. What is the purpose of your life? How can your purpose be fulfilled? What motivates you to do what you do? What are you searching for? What keeps you going in your day-to-day life? What is real? Why do you care? Why do you work? Why do you love? Sponsored by Burger King, Jay Goodman, and Asmujao Community School.
One pill can kill. Fake pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl, equivalent to a few grains of salt, to be lethal. Fake pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk early and often to youth about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl.
Stay informed, stay safe. One pill can kill.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the radio stations of Glimpses Media Group, Wave 105 FM, and Power 98.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Engage in a conversation made for the veterans of Guam with Johnny and Miss Bobby. We want to hear concerns and comments. Tune in every Wednesday for our new time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
At Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is Wave 105 FM, the talk of Guam.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
All right, welcome back to Brightside here on Wave 105. Biba Webis. Yeah. Okay, so we're obviously not going to have time to play all of these audio files. So let's just play, what do we have time for? Let's play the one that says Senator Jesse Lujan. Right. You see after Dr. Eusebio.
Okay.
Lujan, we're not going to be able to play all of these. So I'm just going to pick some of my favorite, not my favorite.
Okay.
I would say, like Dr. Akimoto said, right? Watch it in its entirety. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to unpack as well. But 5440 is where we'll go. Yeah? Somebody called, though, before. What did they say?
Wow, Pauly,
you just got to repeat it.
Okay.
It's not coming from us.
Man. Okay.
But, Vince can take it. I mean, he's extremely critical. So somebody just said, you know what, GMH, there's vacancies, right? They could use more doctors, right?
Yeah, yes, they did.
And so maybe he should apply
and go and help some.
And maybe he doesn't have enough patients where he's at. That's what they called in to say.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir,
don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll play Lujan, the audio file where Lujan's basically going to ask what happens, confirming the electrical panel could go down at any moment, and what happens if that does happen.
That your panel is very gullible. Would you also say is extremely fragile? That at any point in time, this can happen again to cause the hospital to shut down?
Well, we're hoping it doesn't happen.
No, not hoping. I'm saying the gullibility of the situation that we're in at this point. Yes, we hope and pray nothing's going to happen. But in your assessment on the gullibility of the panel and the fragileness of the panel, could at any point in time from now on, this panel again could erupt in fire, causing the hospital to shut down?
Yes.
Thank you. That being said, what is the most urgent fix out there besides the panel? Because this is the one thing that will close this hospital down.
Well, as in collaboration with GBA in our meeting, they pointed out various areas of priorities. So one of those, or some of those, are the main control centers, motor control centers, the automatic transfer switches, and the manual transfer switches. Those are the main ones that they recommended to be looked at. But of course, because we do have the plan, we would like to align this with the plan as well.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's an emergency. We got to take care of it. That's why we're here. That's why we're in the emergency session. And you had just said that mentioned that the situation is really fragile. It can happen, causing the hospital to shut down. That being the case.
You could keep it playing. That's Mr. Zaldi Tagati, the Associate Administrator of Operations at GMHA.
And likewise, what is in place? What is the plan in case there's emergency that will cause the hospital to shut down? What is the plan in place for that? You must have a plan for that, because again, the gullibility of the panel, the fragileness of the panel at this point, as you admitted, it could go down at any point. What is the plan of evacuation? Because you had said that it will cause the hospital to shut down.
Can you tell us what is the beeping sound? Is it the fire
As
alarm?
they were having this oversight hearing, a fire alarm was going off. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think it's clear now.
So, okay. So what is the plan should it happen? And alarms going off. But what if the hospital shut down? What is the plan? Because you just said something like this could happen, and it's going to cause the hospital to shut down. What is the plan of evacuation?
Correct. And that is one of the issues that I raised before, that really we have no place to evacuate the patients other than the alternate care facility that's been recognized, designated, which is SNF. That's our alternate care facility that we can then evacuate, but it's also limited.
All right, and that's the administrator, CEO, Lillian Perez-Posadas. That's the skilled nurses facility that I was asking Vince, right? And so she said that would be the alternative. And he said they got about 60 beds there, 30 vacant. Go ahead.
Switch off this electrical panel that we have without having the new electrical panel.
That's not what I'm saying. Again, we're
it's going to take
reacting
time. It's going to take time. Depending on the engineers, depending on the company, the vendor, if they're available or if they're even willing to.
What is the sequence? The sequence for the emergency electrical repair? Then, do we have a timeline on this? I mean, it's September 24th now. Okay, the emergency. It's going to take time.
It's actually September 25th.
It's going to take time. What is that timeline? What do we see?
We're good.
What do we see? This is an emergency. So what is the timeline? Is the timeline still unknown?
It is, because again, depending on the expertise of the engineers.
Are we saying a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months? I mean, what do we foresee in that timeline? We must have some general idea on what that reaction time will be. If it's a week, is it 2 weeks, 1 month?
To replace the whole electrical panel is going to take probably months.
Months.
Yes, months, because you can't.
So for the quick fix or the
quick fix is what we had delineated in here.
So what timeline do we see that happening? Can you give us a timeline on that?
Well, I'm approximating this to be at least 6 months.
That's Zaldi
6
again.
months until we get that done.
That's very aggressive. Again, these are long lead items. It doesn't come off the shelf. So we need to make the order, specify it. And again, we need our A&E to confirm all this too.
So in the meantime, in 6 months, in the 6 months between now and 6 months to get it repaired, the system is still very fragile, and it could blow up again. And so within that 6 months, we could see the hospital shutting down completely, right?
Yes, that's a possibility.
Senator, the systems in the hospital.
This is now the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Eusebio.
There's a backup. The electrical panel switches have no backup, so that if something happens, the whole thing is shut down. It's the argument that the Army Corps engineers, as I bring up again, is the reason why you need to build another electrical panel so that you have that backup system, so that you don't shut down.
And that's what we want to do. But in the meantime, again, we at this point, we don't have any place to go. And if a shutdown should happen, we're in sad shape if that were to happen. And that could very well happen, as you admit, that could very well happen between now and 6 months. So, I mean, we got to put another emergency to that emergency, cut that time down immensely. And that's why we're here. And so okay, now, so is it a money situation or a procurement situation? What is it that's going to prevent us to shorten that period of time?
It's all of those situations, sir. It starts with funding. So if we have the funding,
so we gave you the funding, and so that's what I'm saying. We gave you the funding, and I know there's other operational needs that will fund. But if again the hospital could shut down, because of this situation, wouldn't that again boost it up to be maybe this is the utmost emergency that we have at this point? I don't know. I'm just saying, because an emergency to call an emergency and then you won't attend to that until 6 months later. It's not quite an emergency, so maybe we need to an emergency square to be able to make it even more an emergency than just the normal emergency, because it's not quite. Anyway, my time's up. Thank you very much.
There you go.
So with that.
Okay, so I have so many things based on what was just said there. And I just go back to the $40 million. Why they even went into special session. The only thing in here that is specific for what they're going to spend the $40 million is the electrical system. But it's $5 million that has been carved out for it. So I understand where Vince is coming from, as to saying, why aren't you addressing the priority? And then so Zaudi mentions that it's going to take some time. 6 months is aggressive. It probably will take longer than that. They just want to be realistic. But let's go all the way to the end, where it's Senator Chris Duenas that lays it all out. And I think there's a decent understanding as well that they have the money. Now they just have to pull the trigger. And so if you don't mind, Senator Chris Duenas, at the very end, 147.14. Yeah? All right, here we go.
So I want the team to understand here that when the CIPs were requested, they were requested for an entire fiscal year. They were put in for the entire fiscal year of 2026. That is why I'm asking this line of question, because the schedule for all of these projects going forward was contemplated in 2026. We're here to tell you it's going to happen. The money is there. It's going to happen. So the last point that I want to make, because Zaldi, I think everyone behind you and all of us and the patients that are currently here receiving excellent care from your staff, we need to walk out of here knowing, first and foremost, with the money available and the quick fix. You said 3 to 6 months, so that everybody understands what we're talking about here. Will that quick fix happen now that the appropriation is there? Can you accelerate that quick fix? And will that quick fix stabilize the hospital as we realize the additional funding for the redundant panel to be installed, the brand new panel, so the hospital can finally have a backup plan, a main panel, and a backup panel.
We will do our best. Whatever comes our way, if there's any difficulties, we'll let you know.
Zaldi, I'm here to tell you, and every senator is here to tell you, once and for all, you don't have a finance problem. You have an execution problem. Okay? There is money to do this. There has been money to do this. You have just told everyone behind you here that to the best of your ability to execute this, we could deposit $40 million just in the account for the panel right now. You have told me off the record, Zaldi, that the new panel construction to provide the redundancy for this hospital is going to take up to a year. Can you put that on the record again?
Like I said, a year is very aggressive.
A year is aggressive. For a brand new panel to provide the redundancy needed for the Guam Memorial Hospital to have its current panel, and for those of you, I'm asking right now after this is done for a field trip down to the panel, and I hope we will be accommodated. For those of you that are here so that you completely understand this, as represented in the past by hospital administrators as well as the maintenance folks, the reason why the redundancy for the panel and the construction of the new panel as well is not only for a redundant system, so you have two panels, you have backup, is because your current panel is co-located with a water tank.
Yeah.
And if that water tank for some reason should rupture and not contain the water that it has in it, it will not be because the breakers are old and some of them need to be repaired. It will not be because the fact that downstream from the panel there's been additional load that's been put on it. It will be because water and electricity do not mix. That will take the panel out in one-shot deal. That's the reality. And the reality is, I know this legislature will finish this term with full funding for this panel redundancy and the repairs that are currently needed for the current one you have. But what we're not going to be able to be responsible for is the fact that the procurement, the timeline for 1 year being aggressive for a new panel is beyond our control. We would hope if there's a way to come forward and say, a miracle has happened and we've got a contractor that says they can do it in 90 days, the money will be there. We'll take it from everywhere we have to and we'll make it there. Until we're notified of that, we're going to leave here today, you're going to leave here today knowing that we're going to move everything, heaven and earth possible, to make sure not only that top priority of the panel, but all the other CIPs that have been requested in the budget are going to be fully funded from the general fund. Thank you, Madam Chair.
There you go. So Senator Chris Duenas says the legislature will fully fund the panel redundancy and the current repairs, but procurement and contractor timelines may limit how fast it happens. However, if a contractor can do this in 90 days, the money will be there. And he said, we'll do everything possible to make sure that that money is there. And earlier he said, you don't have a finance problem, you have an execution problem. The money exists and has existed to do this. A flyer got sent in, right? Let's make GMH strong again. Yes. Yeah.
Right on.
Guam Memorial Hospital belongs to all of us. If GMH is struggling, it's not just their problem, it's our problem. We can't just sit back, point fingers, or complain. We must all do our part, big or small, to help bring GMH back to the standard our island deserves, whether it's volunteering, supporting healthcare workers, advocating for resources, or simply spreading positivity. Every effort matters. Together, we can make GMH good again, because when we work as one, Guam heals it as one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that.
And we'll just end there.
Yes, that's nice.
Dice, you can finally go home.
Pauly, I'd like to sleep now. I love you, Pauly, but I would like to get some sleep.
Let's get out of here.
Thank you. Can we please?
Right.
Okay.
Tomorrow, Mornings with Patty, rolling with Dice
Thank
from
you.
6 to 10.
All right,
and
let's
then
go.
we got national programming. And we'll do another Brightside right here on Wave 105. Everybody get home safe. Be kind to each other, especially your healthcare providers. Adios.
KGUF-FM, Denido. The talk of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
Deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility.
We're going to look at all of our security posture more thoroughly now.
Family of D.C. plane crash victim sues.
Their lives will never, ever be the same.
Jimmy Kimmel's first night back after suspension.
He was contrite